hired more than 11,500 seasonal firefighters, which is ahead of where Chief Tom Schultz says they need to be. Schultz is warning of a potentially long and smoky summer in the West.
So we do have conditions that are alarming, but we are prepared for that.
Schultz credits the solid hiring numbers to recent pay raises approved for federal wildland firefighters, but he acknowledges morale is still a big issue after President Trump cut thousands of permanent staff in the last year. Those included experienced veterans who were part of elite incident command teams and so-called red card holders who were trained to deploy to major fires. Kirk Ziegler, NPR News, Boise.
This is NPR.
Good morning. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. You don't need me to tell you that World Cup fever has hit Boston City Hall and the Massachusetts State House. Things happening today include the FIFA Fan Festival Boston opens today at 2 o'clock on Boston City Hall Plaza. Features live streaming of the Canada versus Bosnia-Herzegovina match at 3 p.m. and the 9 p.m. match as well between the USA and Paraguay. But do know that advance registration is required for entrance to the Fan Festival. This afternoon, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey and First Lady Joanna Lydgate will visit the French national team, Les Bleus, at the World Cup training site at Bentley University in Waltham. Meanwhile, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu delivers remarks at a ceremony recognizing the Guinness World Record for the largest soccer ball. That's at 2:30 this afternoon at Piers Park 2 on Marginal Street in East Boston. And at 6 o'clock this evening, Governor Healey attends a Scotland kickoff reception. That's happening at the State Room at 60 State Street. And we should also mention that at 9:30 this morning, Governor Healey welcomed President Cabo Verde Jose Maria Neves to the State House ahead of the Cabo Verde team playing in the World Cup. You know what they say. Produced in Boston, shared with the World Cup. Elsewhere in sports, Red Sox open a weekend series tonight against the Texas Rangers at friendly Fenway. In the forecast, it's a hazy, hot and Henry day today, actually tomorrow and Sunday as well. 90s each day. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Bank of America, sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Dedicated to offering solutions to help businesses win locally and globally. More at bankofamerica.com/gamechangers.
Eastern Browdy, I am Marjorie Egan. You're listening to Boston Public Radio, GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at YouTube. Thank you. At youtube.com/GBH News, a couple of programming notes. Sue O'Connell and Trenny Casey will be in for me and Jim on Monday. The Boston Public Library, BPR that is, will be on tape on Wednesday because we have our annual staff retreat when we discuss all Jim's grievances every year. And that's going on. We're all looking forward to that.
I am looking forward to it, actually. It's funny you should say that.
Yeah, Jim complained for 3 hours.
Okay,
then
Marjorie,
we'll have lunch.
let's move on. Let's move on.
And,
by the way, that's my first complaint. Let's get it moving.
Okay. The Boston Public Library is going to be closed on June 19th for the annual June 19th holiday, but we will be live on the air from our Brighton studio. And one last thing, a lot of people are texting about your great interview. You and Shirley Young had a great interview with Rachel Rollins, who was forced out of her job as U.S. Attorney. She's now running for her old job to be District Attorney of Suffolk County again. And you can go to youtube.com/GBH News and see that interview. And you can also go to Shirley's piece, Power Play, in the Boston Globe. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, you left out typically the single most important thing you should mention.
What's that?
At the end of the show, a mentalist
is
going to come. A mentalist, whatever that means, who is the Curiosity Desk guest, is going to preview his mentalism skills by apparently, what does he do? He had us both write down some stuff.
I had to write a name down.
Well, I don't know if we're not allowed to say what we did. In any case, we had to write down some stuff. And is he going to read our mind? What is he doing? Whatever the hell he's doing.
Clean things up, Jim.
He's doing it at the end of the show, and I wouldn't miss that. And then Edgar after us, and Jared after that. So in any case, the World Cup is officially kicked off. The U.S. plays tonight, and at Gillette Stadium, I'm not doing the Boston Stadium thing, it hosts its first game with Haiti and Scotland tomorrow. So why does the city feel so, at least to us, Uninterested. I can answer that question. It's because Trump ruins everything. That's the answer to that question. And speaking of, maybe just maybe, the reason there's not a lot of interest, or maybe there is, you'll tell us, it's because people are instead opting to make their way to Washington to witness maybe the greatest spectacle known to humankind, Trump's birthday UFC cage match on Sunday on the White House lawn. It's only costing us $60 million, too. So our lines are open at 877-301-8970 to call or text. We want to know what you're more excited about this weekend, the World Cup and all that comes with it, or Trump's birthday cage match with the UFC on the South Lawn. 877-301-8970. Which are you more excited about?
Well, I have to confess something.
What's that?
This does not speak well of me, I guess. But I am really hoping this UFC fight is just a big bust on the White House lawn. I just want it to be. I mean, first of all, it's really, really a violent, bloody thing. It just seems out of context with our, the United States of America and our birthday and all this. And it's going to be like 90 degrees, and it's going to be really humid. And Pete Hegseth only allows you to go if you don't have like a certain body mass weight.
This is true, by the way. You can only go if you're in the military.
You can't be 10 pounds overweight. Yeah. I don't know how they figure that out. They have a weigh-in for the fighters and then a weigh-in for the military members.
You have to take off your shirt when you go to the White House.
I guess
and
that's
check
it.
it out. Pinch your little
apparently
belly.
There's concern about a lot of bugs down there.
What did you see what Dana White said? Dana White, who's head of the UFC, his quote was, his concern is rain, lightning, ton of bugs. Marjorie is rooting for the bugs.
Well,
I think that's pretty obvious.
I spent a lot of time this morning doing a research on the bugs.
You did?
The midges, the tiny midges, mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies, winged beetles, night flying moths, lots and lots of mosquitoes, lots of black flies, and definitely bats.
Bats? Wait,
a lot
bats?
Of bats. Well, because all those bugs are going to be there. What do you think bats eat?
Oh, bats eat bugs.
Yeah, they eat the bugs. But I was disturbed that only the mosquitoes and the black flies bite. None of the rest of them bite. So I guess you'll have a lot of bugs, but it won't really matter. The midges are like those tiny kind of gnats. But there's something to me, anyway, maybe this is just me, but there's really something creepy about these guys just beating each other.
Think so?
I mean, John McCain, for whom I had a lot of respect, the late, great Senator John McCain, what did he call this? Cockfight, cage fight, something like that. He said it was disgusting.
What is a cage fight?
And he called it human cockfighting. And I don't know. It just doesn't. So I'm not
But
rooting
wait a
for
second.
that.
You left out. You told me this before, which I did not know. In between the fights and the cage match, there's going to be American history anecdotes. Is that true?
Yeah, they're going to have some lessons, historical vignettes between the fights. So you watch two guys.
Which white men do you think they're going to profile?
I don't know. They're going to beat each other to a pulp, and then while the next pair is coming out to beat each other to a pulp, they're going to have these historical vignettes to tell the history of the United States of America. I just don't know. So I'm not rooting for that.
You know what they're actually doing during that, I heard, I don't know if this is true, is they're going to bring specific exhibits, which is quite beautiful, from the Smithsonian, and Donald Trump is going to erase everything that relates to women and black people, just as on the 250th birthday. 877-301-8970. I have to say, well, I am not wildly into soccer. I am going to give it a shot. I'm watching the game tomorrow night, which is on television. Haiti, Scotland at the I still can't do this Boston Stadium sickness because of this corrupt, grifting FIFA demands that you not have because Gillette's not paying for the right. So I'm going to give that a go. And by the way, getting back to the UFC thing before we get to your calls, YouGov.com, which is not the most precise poll, but they're a poll nevertheless. 51% of Americans disapprove of the $60 million birthday party, the UFC cage match for Trump, and only 17%, Marjorie, which is practically only half of MAGA. Only 17% say it's a good idea. There you go.
Okay, 877-301-8970 is the number. Are you excited about the soccer games? I mean, there has been a huge, Art in West Bridgeport says most Americans really don't care about soccer, but I think a lot of young Americans.
They do.
Because they grew up playing soccer. I mean, I remember the last time around, you saw these long lines in Austin and Brighton for all the kids going to the bars to watch the games. I mean, not the kids; they were obviously over 21, but young people going to the games. And I think that's where the big excitement is, and a lot of people that came here, from other countries. A lot of immigrants,
right?
Exactly. I mean, I know growing up in Fall River, I mean, soccer was huge because there were so many great Portuguese teams, and I think there's a lot of great teams from different other countries and people who came from other countries that will be very excited.
I live in Inman Square in Cambridge. I live like 2 blocks from a major Brazilian community in Somerville. They're wild. Look at the street here. A couple of days before the marathon, what'd that street look like? Packed with people with, jerseys and
running
things
gear,
from other countries and whatever. It's just not here. And I know the politicians are trying to, and Kraft obviously is trying to pump it up kind of thing. And again, I hope it's a success. But one of the reasons I wasn't joking about Trump ruining everything, do you read these stories? When people from other countries have a choice to go to one of the 3 countries, Mexico, Canada, or the United States, which would you choose if you were not from here? You choose Mexico or Canada, because this is how we treat people who are not like us in the minds of Donald Trump. When they were talking about
body cavity searches of people coming in
here. They
here
did it to the player from Senegal.
Yeah, I wouldn't want a body cavity surgery.
You wouldn't? No, well, that's shocking, Margie. Neither would I.
I would not. I think most people would not.
No, some
would,
but
And then
not
the coach
all.
that was the coach of the year last year.
Referee
of the year. He wasn't even let into the country.
I know.
Susan from Brookline. What do you think, Susan?
Hi, Susan. Welcome.
Hi. I love your show.
Thanks.
I'm probably going to sound like a horrible person for saying this, but it's what I think. I'm hoping and praying that for this cage match there is a massive thunder and lightning storm, and they have to evacuate everybody. I don't know where they'll go, probably not into the White House. And then they'll have to wait 30 minutes for the clearance from the thunder and lightning storm, and then they'll have to, go through security for everybody else coming back in, and it will be a complete and total disaster, just like Trump's administration.
Well, let me tell you, by the way, the reason you don't have to feel bad, Susan, is Marjorie feels the exact same way. But you're supposed to say at the end of that, as long as nobody's hurt.
That's right.
You have to do the mandatory. We don't want anybody to suffer. Well, we don't want most people to suffer. And we don't want anybody to have any injuries or whatever. Other than that, Susan, you and Marjorie are simpatico. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. 877-301-8970.
I'm amazed, though. He doesn't control all of the seats of who's going to get in. Only 1,400 of them out of the 4,300 does Trump supposedly decide who gets in. And I guess Hegseth is there with his measuring tape.
Do you know how much it's going to cost taxpayers just to repair the grass on the South Lawn? Just that one expense, $800,000. $800,000 to repair the grass.
Well, the reflecting pool is apparently reflecting again, Jim. It's back in reasonably good shape. We don't know if it's going to last very long, but it's in good shape right at the moment.
Anonymous texter says, Trump versus AOC in the cage. She could kick his behind. Could she not? That one I'd watch. Josh, you're in the car. You're on BPR. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.
Hey, so, I'm not really excited about any of this, actually, if I'm being totally honest.
Well, you should be honest. Yeah, go ahead.
Honestly, this UFC match just feels like Hunger Games happening in real time.
Hey, Josh, we got to put you on hold a second. The connection. Are you on a speaker?
Hey, moment. That is long.
That's a hard. We got to put Josh on hold for a second. And can you just tell him, please, we're not getting rid of him. It's just a rotten connection. We'll try him again in a second. 877-301-8970 is our phone. You haven't said, are you going to try to watch the World Cup stuff or no?
I'm not really, I think there's a lot of parents who went to their children's soccer games when they were playing
soccer. Your youngest daughter was like a soccer star. Didn't she score like every goal for her team?
She was a good soccer player. But, I never really get into it in a big kind of way, even though she still plays. She still plays.
Well, I'm not into it, but aren't you don't want to get part of the spirit?
Maybe I'll watch the opening. Maybe I'll watch the opening moments or something like that. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not like the Knicks and the Spurs.
Yeah, but you know what could happen that would really be quite, you wouldn't want to miss it live?
What?
It's not impossible they're going to be deporting players halftime during the games. And that's something you'd want to see, would you not? Would you want to be a player on? Did you see the Iranian players cannot sleep in the United States?
Terrible.
They have to fly in to play in the morning of their game, play their damn game and then fly. I think they're in Mexico.
Well,
fly back to Mexico.
There was this story from the BBC talking about the United States using the World Cup as a sports washing kind of thing to distract the world from other stuff. But I don't think
Beijing did a few years ago with the Olympics,
yes,
right?
Yes, or Russia tried to do, but then it didn't work because there were 24 workers that died building some of the stadiums, so that didn't work. But I don't think it's working. I don't think the sports washing thing is working because the stories about people being treated so horribly at the airports and the cost of the tickets. I mean, that's the other thing, that the tickets are, and FIFA is such a corrupt organization, and there's just something creepy about the whole thing. 877-301-8970 is the number. Anonymous texter says, no one in D.C. once-in-a-lifetime event to witness a live-action version of the movie How do you say
Idiocracy.
that? Idiocracy. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Let's go to Josh again and see if this works. Josh, welcome. Hi.
Hey, sorry about that.
Better.
I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Perfectly. Go ahead.
Hey, great. Yeah, I'm just not really excited about any of this. I'm not a big soccer fan. The UFC just feels like a precedent being set that's similar to Hunger Games, where all the oligarchs are just to meet at the White House ballroom and
That's
watch
good.
peons just like get together and watch us play Survivor in front of them for their lavish dinners, which we're going to be ending up footing the bill for. And I'm just sick of it. And I know that like the controlled environment of the UFC cage matches makes it easy to bet, but now you're adding all these unforeseen circumstances into the mix, and I think that a lot of these people that are betting on these fighters are not going to win, and so I guess I'm popping my popcorn and watching all the sad tears of the clowns that are in the White House and those that support them bet on these fighters that are not going to win.
So I'll mark you down as undecided, Josh. Josh, thank you very much for the call. You know what I'm reading, which I had missed before? I assumed naively, since there probably, for right and wrong reasons, would be an audience for this Sunday Night UFC thing on Trump's birthday. I'm wrong. I was just reading from reliable sources, the Brian Stelter thing. There's this. He describes the cozy relationship, which we talk about all the time, between Paramount and Trump, obviously. And let me read, with the streaming of sports being a big political issue, the Freedom 250 UFC fight, that's their name, would be one that you might think would show up on CBS so the nation could see it free of charges from the Athletics' Andrew Marchand, I think you pronounce it. But no, to watch Sunday's show, a viewer will need a Paramount Plus subscription where the event will be exclusively streamed. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
No, I knew Paramount was sponsoring it. I didn't know you had to get a subscription. I thought maybe you'd be immune for the night, but apparently not. Joe from Chelmsford wants to know if the Trump is going to have gladiators next year, that they could just fight to the death. Everyone could tune in to watch that. UFC event, says another texter, is a perfect capsulization of President Trump. No class, grifting megalomaniac. So clearly that texter is not a fan. 877-301-8970. I mean, it's weird, is it not, to have a sport like this?
No, it is not
weird. This is the first sporting event ever at the White House.
What is weird about it, I'm serious, in the time of Trump, it's a self-congratulatory. He and Dana White are really tight. It's a violence thing, and look at what's going on the other side of the world. This is like perfect Trump kind of crap.
Well,
you don't think
I guess,
so?
But I think I mean, I know there are people that love boxing. You go on and on about Muhammad Ali.
UFC is huge, Marjorie.
I'm saying there are other people that love, yes, but boxing is also a violent sport, and many people, including you, are big fans of Muhammad Ali and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of us are huge fans of Muhammad Ali, and we didn't look every time he threw a punch or got a punch. You don't like to see that, and I think that's what's distressing about this. I mean, for a lot of people, it's really hard to look at because you're just torturing each other. That's what you're doing.
I don't give a damn about the violence. It's a self-congratulatory. He says $60 million. It's probably $100 million of taxpayer money to congratulate himself. Doesn't that bother you a little?
I heard a long interview with Dana White on the New Yorker podcast. He was interviewed by David Remnick.
Yeah.
And, he's when you listen to him, he's a charming guy, smart guy and stuff. But he claims not to know all these things. I mean, he claims not to know about the Trump tweeting out the picture of Barack and Michelle Obama looking like apes. He claims he didn't know about that. He claims it had nothing to do with politics. He claims he was a liberal in his youth. The whole thing just kind of, you know what I mean?
Trump claims he doesn't know about it. I mean, let's go to Lori in Boston. You're next on BPR. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I'm calling about World Cup.
Please.
I was not interested. My office is in downtown. Traffic's already a mess. But the people, the fans are arriving. They're all kitted out. And they're excited, and they're giving me joy. I got to tell you, Scotland is everywhere in downtown Boston.
Well, that I've heard, by the way.
The joy.
By the way, explain what kitted out means. What for the uninitiated? I didn't know what it meant till 2 days ago. Explain what it means, Lori.
Team kit. It's the jersey. It's the shorts. It's the badges. It's the hats. And for Scotland, it's the kilt.
Yeah.
You know, why downtown for the thing on City Hall, Lori? What is the thing downtown?
For Fan Fest. They're already here. It kicks off today. I have my ticket for Monday. I'm not a soccer person, but I'm excited to go and check it out. So it's here. We might as well make the best of it. It's like going to the fest in the North End.
Hey, except without the sausage. Lori, that is a very healthy, grown-up call. We need more of that. Thank you for the call. You know what we forgot to mention? We were talking about the corruption of FIFA. Remember when Mayor Wu was here, whenever it was, last week or whatever, and we asked her why FanFest is only going halfway through the 7 games, and it's a FIFA thing. I mean, at every turn. FIFA, remember, gave the licenses to the viewing parties with very few exceptions very late in the game, so it's hard to put them together. Having said that, I heard on BZ Radio this morning, FanFest, at least the first 2 days or something, are sold out. So there obviously is, as Lori said, some level of excitement
well, there
about
is,
this.
like I said, I think there's a lot of people that are into soccer, particularly, you know, younger kids that are Americans that started playing soccer when they were kids, and people that came here from other countries that were I mean, we have a huge Brazilian population here.
We have a Brazilian guitar player in 20 minutes.
Exactly,
Who's very excited.
And I'm sure people are really excited about that. And, you know, I mean, overseas, you know, Europeans are mad about soccer. Every year you have some story about some stampede at some soccer game in Great Britain or something. Anyway, 877.
Oh, I was wrong. There will be sausage served. So thank you, Zoe, for my inexcusable mistake there. I do apologize.
Dave in Pittsfield, thank you for calling.
Hello, Dave. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine,
Good.
thank you.
So here's my. Hold on a second. Let me.
Oh,
don't take you off.
You know, you called us. I don't know if you called us, right?
There we go.
Okay, good.
Take you off Bluetooth.
Hi.
So here's my thing about this whole thing is that it's costing us money, and FIFA makes all the money and the crafts. And so I'm not happy about that. It's just like the Olympics. Boston is a tight city. It's not really set up for these broad-based things. And you're inconveniencing more people than you're helping. And Boston is a tourist destination anyway. It's not like we needed 30,000 more people. That's the first thing.
Well, go ahead. What's the second thing?
Well, the second thing is, unlike Marguerite, I am not nearly as generous. I'm good with people getting hurt as long as they're not in the military.
No, you're not. No, we don't want to. No, we do want a lot of bugs, and a little lightning wouldn't hurt, maybe a rainstorm. But we don't
you're
want
talking
people
about
hurt.
the fighters getting hurt, Dave, or you're talking about the people in the audience?
Well, some of the people in the audience.
No, Dave, goodbye. Thank you for your call. We don't want anybody hurt. We want them inconvenienced and miserable. We do not want them. You know, speaking of FIFA and their constant grifting, FIFA, which gave the first inaugural Peace Prize to the President of the United States for his great work, is you saw the thing the other day. It's going to be 90 degrees tomorrow and humid, and you're not allowed to bring any bottled stuff in, so you got to buy water there, which I heard on one report is going to be $9 a bottle, and another report $12 a bottle.
Didn't they allow
That's
one
after
thing of water now or something?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I could be
$80
wrong.
for the round trip on the and that's our fault because we read that in Philadelphia, my hometown, $2.90 round trip to get to the stadium for that, but we weren't able to cut that kind of deal.
I mean, they had a really good thing interviewing a bunch of the UFC fighters on TV last week that I watched, and I mean, they're great athletes, and they're going to make a lot of money. But you know, you saw the wife and the children, and obviously they're very, very worried about what could happen to, in her case, her husband and the kids' dad. I mean, it's really violent, and the blood's flying everywhere, and I don't know.
Okay. Mark in Cape Ann, you got a minute. 1 minute. Hi.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure.
I admit I used to be a soccer player, high school and college. Loved the World Cup. Went to it in '95 down there at Foxborough. But I will not be watching this go-round because I can't stand all the cheating, all the flopping.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the sport itself. I don't know enough to know. I mean, is that what the deal is?
If you just Google YouTube or something, flopping in soccer, you'll see the most egregious acting, people pretending that they've gotten hurt in order to get a penalty call. And, our favorite sport apparently here in the United States is football, where you actually don't pretend to get hurt. You pretend you don't get hurt in order to stay out there. And that,
Mark, thanks for. I just realized you're talking about all the violence. Are you watch the NFL? We've talked about the concussion with Chris Nowinski.
I had a tough time watching the NFL for the same reason. You see these gruesome hits, and you see these guys get so badly hurt. It's just me. That's just me.
Before
Other people
you go,
love it. What?
We said your youngest daughter was a huge soccer star.
She's very good at soccer.
Is she into the World Cup?
I have not discussed it with her.
Oh. Well, maybe you should.
Maybe I should.
Okay.
But I tell you, she's gotten hurt a lot playing soccer, too. Anyway, we're out of time for this. Coming up after this quick break, we're opening up Massachusetts primaries, help fix our lazy legislature, our unproductive legislature. Harvard's Danielle Steele thinks social debate. Bob Kuttner.
Danielle Steele?
Danielle Allen, excuse me.
Danielle Steele will be with us next week. Yeah,
she's a great, well, I don't know if you would say she's great. She's written a lot of books. Anyway, Bob Kuttner, the American Prospect, is going to be with us, too. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy. This is BPR GBH, NEPM.
It's time for the 2026 World Cup, and GBH News is following every moment. The culture, the crowds, the controversies. We're covering everything that comes when the world lands in Massachusetts.
It'll be a very, very expensive vacation.
It's like the ultimate form of bragging rights. You have bragging rights for 4 years. 4 friggin' years.
Get all the info at gbhnews.org/World Cup.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Newport Mansions, presenting Revolution Reimagined, a new exhibit exploring Newport, Rhode Island's role in the American Revolution and how later generations reshaped the city's collective memory. Opening June 25th, newportmansions.org.
And the Boston Speaker Series, announcing its upcoming season at Symphony Hall for 7 evenings, including Pete Buttigieg, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, historian Doris Kearns Goodwin, and former U.S. Ambassador to China Nicholas Burns. bostonspeakers.org.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Thank you, Sue O'Connell, Trenny Casey, hosting on Monday. We will be on tape on Wednesday for our annual staff retreat. We're back on the air Thursday. The library is closed on June 19th on June 19th. We'll be live from Brighton. The Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, joins us for an hour on June 23rd. Mayor Wu joins us for an hour in early July, and we are setting a date for the governor. We'll let you know. So Massachusetts voters, as we've told you many times, might face 11 ballot questions when they enter the voting booth in November. Among them is an initiative that would replace our partisan primary system with a single, quote, all-party primary. Don't know what that means? Well, that's why you're here. Joining us to discuss are two people on opposing sides of the issue. Robert Kuttner is the co-founder and co-editor of the American Prospect. He thinks it's a bad idea. Danielle Allen is director of the Allen Lab for Democracy Renovation of the Democratic Knowledge Project, both at Harvard. She's the leader of the ballot effort. Bob Kuttner, Danielle Allen, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you both for coming in, and my apologies, Danielle Allen, for not saying Danielle Allen before. But anyway, Danielle.
Hey,
Allen.
Danielle Steele, I'm all for it. So let's go.
I don't know where that came from.
But
anyway, tell us about this ballot question, what it would do.
Absolutely. I'm delighted to talk about it, and I want to just clarify, too, I'm here as the chair of the ballot committee. I'm not here with my professor hat on today, so just be really clear about that, speaking for myself as a person. So, I'm a big fan of Abraham Lincoln, government by the people so that it's for the people. And that is the kind of core goal of our democracy. We have tools, institutions that can do great things for people, but right now our status quo has got it all locked up. We have an unaccountable legislature, an unresponsive legislature. Folks are prioritizing politics over problem solving and power over progress. So, we have all these uncompetitive elections, and the way to solve the competitiveness problem, get past this fact that right now 60% of our elections are not competitive, is to open up the primaries.
Massachusetts legislature.
In Massachusetts, exactly.
Yeah.
60% of our legislative races this cycle are uncompetitive. That's been true over the last decade. We've had one candidate in more than half of our races. So you open up the primaries so that all voters get all the choices all the time. The decisive election is the general, not the primary, and it's a way of restarting competition in the state.
Explain exactly what it does. You're giving us the rationale. What exactly would the ballot question do should it become law? What would it do?
Sure. Well, it would do something actually pretty familiar. So folks are used to how we vote in Boston, right, where all the candidates from all the different ideological positions are all on the same primary ballot. You vote for your favorite person, and then the top 2 vote getters go forward to the general, and then in the general you vote again for your favorite person. So
just like California, which most of us were following pretty closely the last couple of months.
We've got some improvements on the California version, actually.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
It's not quite just like it. But
why is this a bad idea, Bob Kuttner?
Well, it doesn't fix what's broken, and it introduces new problems. So the main thing that's broken in Massachusetts is the legislature. We have a boss Tweed kind of legislature, completely unaccountable, sets its own rules, sets rules in such a way that backbenchers can't figure out what's going on. The leadership has all the power. And this reinforces the fact that incumbents are never challenged. And challengers who do challenge incumbents never win. So the all-party primary, or so-called jungle primary, even though it applies to the legislature, doesn't fix that. The second problem, even though
why doesn't it fix it?
Because it gives even more de facto power to incumbents, and it gives more power to name recognition, to money raising, and if you are a challenger to an entrenched incumbent and you want to challenge that incumbent, the all-party primary doesn't get you from here to there. Also, the argument that it brings in independence or increases turnout, California, since they adopted this in 2010, the turnout rate has bounced around. There's really been no trend. And I think the other problem, and I think this isn't appreciated enough, it really obliterates the party system. I mean, it isn't just the governor and the lieutenant governor. It's the legislature. It's U.S. Congress. It's U.S. Senate. It's everything almost down to dog catcher. Everything would be subject to an all-party primary. So if you think obliterating the party system is a good idea, go for it. I would rather reform the party system. And let me just make one other comment. Danielle and I both studied political science. When I studied political science, the gurus were 2 guys named V.O. Key and E.E. Schatzschneider. And Key's point was that party has 3 different meanings. There's the party in the electorate, what people identify with. There's the party in government, how the governor works with the legislature. And there's the institutional party. It's the institutional party that's broken, that has a lock on nominations. There's a very simple fix for that.
Which is?
They did it in Connecticut. You have a petition backdoor. So if you don't get the 15%, you either get rid of the 15%.
At a party convention, you need to get 15% of the delegates to vote for you, or you don't make it onto the primary ballot.
That's right. And there was a federal lawsuit in Connecticut that succeeded on the ground that this violated the First Amendment. It violated the First Amendment right to run for office. It violated the First Amendment right to vote for the candidate of your choice. And what they did in response to this lawsuit is they adopted a petition backdoor. If you don't make the 15%, you have the right, and I think this exists in 37 states now, to get on the ballot by getting a certain number of petition signatures. Okay. That's the reform we need in Massachusetts.
You know, before you ask a question, I want to clarify. The one thing you both seem to agree upon is the stunning lack of competition is a problem that needs addressing.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes,
we agree on that.
And you seem to both agree that the legislature is non-functioning as it is now. But I can't be the only person who's confused, though. When I go to vote for my legislators, and you're right, oftentimes there's not a Republican.
No choice.
The legislature is overwhelmingly Democratic. But how does this change? So why does this get more choice for more people? I don't, that's the part I don't understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Bob's right. We have the most restrictive candidate ballot access rules in the country. This gets rid of those. Bob's pathway won't work. People have tried it multiple years, not going to work. This does get rid of those restrictions. It means people can jump into races where currently they can't. People can jump into statewide races. Legislators might actually try to move up. Doesn't happen in this state, happens in every other state. If legislators are willing to move up, that opens up seats. You get a whole restart of competition by unlocking the restrictive nature of our party insider-controlled party primary system.
But so Danielle, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so what do you have to do to get on the ballot then?
Signatures.
How many?
Yeah, same as currently, and we have a high bar for signatures. So in that regard, if people are worried that makes it too easy to run for office, not at all. We have the most restrictive rules. This brings us down to a reasonable place. Doesn't actually put us anywhere in California territory, where it takes next to nothing to put yourself on the ballot, which is partly why their situation looks as crazy as
Danielle,
it does.
One thing I don't understand, well, a lot of things I don't understand, but this one thing in particular, the lack of competition, all four of us agree, is a serious problem. Why, when a candidate under the current system, forget statewide, but for individual reps and senators, when no one runs against the incumbent now, why would all of a sudden people be running against the incumbent in this all primary thing when they chose not to run under the current system?
Because you can get to the general, and that gives you rewards. It gives you the payoff of increased name recognition. So the risk-reward ratio for candidates changes on this mechanism, and every state that's had it has seen an increase in candidacies, and it has seen a decrease in incumbency retention. Massachusetts currently has the highest rate of incumbent retention in the country. The states that have this mechanism have lower incumbent retention rates.
He's shaking his head. Bob Kuttner?
Well, there's only 3 states that have this. And
California being one.
Yeah, and Alaska and Washington being the other 2. I just don't agree with the data that are cited. And here's the problem. If you think about how this works, if you have a all-party primary or a jungle primary, and I'm Ron Mariano.
He's the Speaker of the House for everybody who doesn't know, which is everybody.
And that's the point. I mean, how often do you have the mayor or the governor on, and how often do you have him on? He doesn't want to be on, because democracy dies in darkness, and that's exactly what he wants. That's why the rules are what they are. So how does the all-party primary increase the odds that somebody's going to challenge Ron Mariano or the other 60% of people who never get challenged? And I think it does just the opposite of what the proponents argue. It makes money more important.
You know, one thing I learned during the California thing, which makes me nervous, California is a state that is overwhelmingly Democratic, as we all know, and one would assume they want a Democratic governor. Up until maybe a month ago, all the pundits were saying there's a really good chance, because there's so many Democrats dividing the Democratic vote, even if it's a large majority, that the 2 Republicans, and Republicans are obviously a minority in California, could end up being the 2 people who end up being the only choices for the voters. And while that didn't happen, it's 1 Republican and 1 Democrat, as everybody knows. It was not impossible. How do you not... If a lot of members of the majority party tend to choose to run and split the vote, how do you not end up with a thing that is totally anti-majoritarian?
Well, there are a couple of things to say there. I mean, for starters, those pundits were fear-mongering. You know, Nancy Pelosi all through the spring was saying, I've done this for a long time. Don't get your knickers in a twist, people. You know, this is going to work out okay. It's going to resolve. And she was right. And she knew she had the historical basis for that. There's only been 1 lockout in California in the entire time since 2014 that they've had this election system. And, you know, that was in the first year that they had it. So, yes, people do the work. Here in Massachusetts, our initiative is designed for our state. And so we have state-specific provisions that California doesn't have.
Like what?
For example, in California, no endorsements show up on the ballot. Here, endorsements can show up on the ballot. So voters will have high information. Is this candidate supported by the Democratic Party at the endorsement level? Are they supported by the Working Families Party? Are they supported by political designation? For example, maybe a grassroots group like the MA Voter Table wants to put a designation, on the ballot. That gives voters a lot of information that helps sort the field. Second difference is we do have a write-in provision in this initiative. So let's just say in the totally rare event, kind of meteor landing kind of rarity event, that there were a lockout, the Democratic Party could still get a candidate on the ballot.
You know, I know this is Massachusetts. And this hasn't gone across the country. But one of the things I think has upset a lot of people in this election season under Donald Trump, this is obviously national, is when someone he doesn't like is running in a primary, then or does something that annoys him, he says, I'm going to primary them out of there. And he's been very, very successful. So if this were to be some kind of national thing, would that impact those kind of primaries we see where someone, what I'm talking about, where Trump gets his favorite person in and the other person is eliminated?
Quickly, if you can, Danielle. Go ahead,
yeah,
Bob.
Thank you. Trump killed exactly this kind of election mechanism in Louisiana precisely in order to kill Senator Cassidy. Okay? Trump hates this kind of reform precisely because it puts the power back in the hands of voters, back in the hands of the broad electorate, doesn't allow capture by a small, really intense, partisan
I have to
group.
say, if Trump hates it, that's a real attraction for some of us, Bob Kuttner. What you're going to say, what?
Let's bring this back to the two or three major things that are seriously deficient with democracy in Massachusetts.
Yep.
One is the House rules, the legislative rules, the fact that it's a boss-dominated legislature. This doesn't touch that. There's no evidence that this is going to help attract more people to challenge incumbents. And the other thing we haven't talked about, by the way, that this doesn't touch, is the complete absence of home rule. This dates to early in the 20th century when, the Yankees got nervous about the Irish getting too much political power. And now, of course, it means that Boston has to go hand in hand to the legislature if it wants to do anything.
We talk with Mayor Wu every single month,
and
actually.
We have the lowest percentage of own source revenue, the highest percentage of own source revenue of any major city in the country. So Boston doesn't have the ability to tax. It has to go hand in hand with the legislature. This doesn't address that. So if you look at the two things that are most flawed about democracy in Massachusetts, it doesn't fix either.
Danielle, tell you another concern I have, which doesn't go to the merits of this at all, and Bob knows from history that I'm a big believer in ballot questions. If the legislature won't do it, then the answer is take it to the people.
Sure.
However, I Googled ballot questions in Massachusetts this morning, and I looked at the top 10 news stories. Rent control, income tax cut, and there was a third one, I forget. In none of the stories did this question make it in the top 6 or 7 paragraphs. So even if a voter is to support this, what's the likelihood that a voter come November is going to have any idea what the hell they're voting on?
Well, we're working really hard on that grassroots education, and we're thrilled to have support from organizations like the NAACP, the Massachusetts Women of Color Coalition, Veterans for All Voters. We have a lot of groups out in the state working really hard getting the message out about this. We agree, public education is critical. Democracy belongs to the voters, and so that's the work you got to do. You got to get out there and make sure that people are educated.
We only have a minute or so left, Bob Kuttner. You're a student of ballot questions, amongst other things. Do you have any concern, or do you not about, forget the content, whether or not the voters, if there are 10, 11 ballot questions, will be able to focus on the merits of this?
It's sort of an inside baseball kind of issue. I think people who felt cheated in one way or another by recent endorsement outcomes are gung-ho for this. I think for other people it's a little bit hard to follow.
By the way, the one plus, the summary that was written on the petition is short and no, it is. I'm serious, and digestible. If people want to find out more, Danielle, what's the website where they can learn what's going on?
They want to go to coalitionforhealthydemocracy.org. It's long, I know, but it's easy. coalitionforhealthydemocracy.org.
Is there an opposition organization here? Do you know, Mr. Opposition? It's you?
Well, I think no, actually not that I'm aware of. I think a lot of individuals who follow the role of parties in facilitating democracy don't like this, but I'm not aware of an opposition organization.
Well, then you should read the American Prospect. Subscribe, read the American Prospect, and we'll have you back in the fall when we're closer to ballot time and talk about this again. Thank you much.
Thank you very much for coming in. Much appreciated.
Good to see you both.
We've been speaking with Danielle Allen, director of the Allen Lab for Democracy Renovation at Harvard, and Robert Kuttner, co-founder and co-editor of the American Prospect. Thanks again for your time. Coming up after this quick break, Live Music Friday with vocalist Jessica Curran and guitarist Caio Afiune. Afiune, thank you. Ahead of their album release party at the Rockwell in Davis Square in Somerville. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You listen to BPR, GBH, and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Jared Bowen. Today on The Culture Show, the call is coming from inside the Alamo Drafthouse. The theater chain famous for banning phones is now telling moviegoers to turn them on, to order their food. Plus, beef prices are smoking barbecue culture, from brisket joints to fast food menus. And in Barcelona, Sagrada Familia reaches a towering milestone. 144 years in the making. That and more on The Culture Show's Week in Review, today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Maine Maritime Museum, offering oyster-tasting cruises throughout the summer. Visitors can learn about aquaculture from Maine's oyster farmers and experience freshly shucked oysters. MaineMaritimeMuseum.org.
And Atlantic Design Center by Eldridge Lumber and Hardware, committed to helping customers achieve their vision for a new kitchen or bathroom and guiding them from design to completion. With showrooms in York and Portland, Maine. AtlanticDesignCTR.com.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy live at the library, streaming youtube.com/GBH News. Sue O'Connell and Trenny Casey hosting in our stead on Monday. We'll be back Tuesday, and then we're not doing a show on Wednesday. It'll be a repeat because we have our annual staff retreat, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, I was remiss when Bob was here. Bob Kuttner's got a new book. It's called Notes for Next Time, Surviving Tyranny, Redeeming America, a Personal and Political Memoir by Robert Kuttner. I'd get it. It's time for another edition of Live Music Friday. We're joined by a husband and wife duo, two Berklee College of Music professors, whose music blends Brazilian rhythms, jazz, and contemporary sounds. Caio e Jess, vocalist Jessica Curran. You're here a lot, Jessica Curran, let me tell you. And guitarist Caio Afiune. Did I get close? Close. You're very kind. Have just released their debut album, Encontro, inspired by Brazil's famous Meeting of the Waters, which is a beautiful image. You'll describe it to us in a couple of minutes. Caio e Jess are here ahead of their album release show on June 17th at the Rockwell. It's in Davis Square, right? Yes, in Davis Square. For tickets and more info, go to therockwell.org or Caio, C-A-I-O-E, as in E, Jess.com. We'll keep giving you that. We'll speak with both of them in a minute, but first, here they are with their band performing Paper Wings. Welcome to you all. Join us, you two. So let me just say once again, while they are joining us, they will be at the Rockwell in Davis Square. Go to tickets, therockwell.org, June 17th. Caio E. Jess is another source, CAIOE-Jess.com. Welcome, you two. That was great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, Jess, tell us who's in the band.
So we have Vlade Grigny on drums. We have Mike Gary the second on bass. Mike was on our album as well. And this is David Ling on the keys. He was on our album and also has been with us since the beginning and functioned as one of our producers.
So tell us about this. I'm going to hold this thing up because it's a beautiful photograph and the whole concept. Am I doing this right or am I never know? Well, sometime. There it is.
Yes,
there it is.
Beautiful.
Caio, tell us about the album and tell us about the title, which was really like, it's a magical thing which I'd never heard of till last night. Describe it to us.
Yeah, so Encontro refers to the Encontro das Águas, the meeting of the waters, which is this natural phenomenon in Brazil in which two rivers, they flow side by side. And it's really amazing to see, like they have different densities and different velocities. So when they merge, they actually flow side by side for many, many miles. And you can see the different colors. They actually don't mix. And they, after a whole bunch of time and distance, they flow into, they become the Amazon River, which is the biggest river in Brazil. And that kind of symbolizes our relationship as, as husband and wife, but also as musical partners, that we are able to respect each other's musical integrities, but also produce something that is bigger than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get away from music too much and talk about the physics there, but I'm just fascinated by the idea that two liquids could be next to each other and not be merging, and you can see the difference in the speeds when you look at the water. So what's the story? Why does that happen?
I don't know. I think you would have to ask Neil deGrasse Tyson about
it. Okay. Well, it's really a fascinating thing. And
Before we continue with this, can I do a personal? I'm about to shave my head. I'm thinking of it. When did you start doing this?
Maybe like 5 years ago or
Are
so.
you happy or not?
Yes. It's very, especially in the hot weather.
Am I going to be happy? I'm very nervous.
You save time when you shower. It's great.
Okay, fine. Let's move on. I'm sorry. I just needed to get a little
So
advice
you mentioned
here.
being husband and wife. So how'd that happen? How'd they get together with the music and the romance?
Yeah, so right before I met Caio, I was staying with a Brazilian family down in Florianópolis, Brazil, and I came back to Boston, where I grew up, and I showed up at his house one day to rehearse with his roommate, and I tried to speak Portuguese with him and felt stupid, but it worked.
I fell in love immediately. Like, she walked through the door and she talked to me in Portuguese. I was like,
oh my gosh, that's great.
Did he have a bald head when you met him or not?
Yes, he did.
What do you think of the
a
head?
little bit more on the sides.
By the way, when I say you're practically our house band, you were here 2 weeks ago with Deb O'Reilly, for people who are wondering what I relate to. You also have a Berkeley connection. We bumped into Roger Brown last night, president of Berkeley.
And party we went to.
Marjorie says this every week, so let me say it. The number of people who perform on our show, and we love having them, who have a Berkeley connection is stunning. How important, you didn't go, but you teach.
Yeah, so I moved to Boston 15 years ago to go to New England Conservatory as a student. And then I did my master's, my doctorate there, and then I started teaching at Berkeley like maybe 4 years ago. I just finished my 4th year. But both the conservatory and Berkeley are such a huge part of the musical life of the city that if you're a professional musician in Boston, it's impossible not to.
What does it mean for you, Berkeley?
I think it gives a lot of opportunity for a bustling music community here. I think it helps to create opportunities for the kids that are coming and going, but hopefully that means we can keep people here, because a lot of people travel through and pass through and go on their way.
Are you worried about that, about staying here and making a living? And
no, because I also run the Boston Jazz Foundation.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's right. So Kai, we were talking before about the World Cup, whether people were excited or not, and some people are upset about FIFA, and soccer's not, it's not football and basketball in the United States. But being a Brazilian guy, I mean, I know, I grew up with Portuguese people from the Azores, but those kids growing up were rabid about soccer. So you must be kind of psyched about this.
I am always super excited about soccer. Actually, the World Cup is the thing that I get the most excited about. I don't really follow anymore, just like the clubs. I have my club in Brazil, Palmeiras, that I love, but I don't really follow it throughout the year. When the national team gets together, it's like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
I just get really excited.
But isn't it getting much? It is getting much bigger around here. Also, because I think more American kids are playing soccer than when I was growing up. Yeah. So, what are you going to do for the World Cup? What's your plan?
Oh, we have watch parties planned for all the days. I think Brazil's first game is on Saturday, so we'll be definitely watching that.
In Jersey, where the final's going to be at MetLife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in Jersey. Right, yeah. What are you doing at the Rockwell?
So we're going to perform our album from beginning to end.
Oh, great.
As if you listen to it, we have strings and many layers of vocals and just percussion, and it's very cinematic. So this is the kind of the only chance you can get to see the album from beginning to end as it was intended to be heard, as close as possible to how it's supposed to be heard. So it'll be lights and set design and costumes and just,
Can I pay you a huge compliment? My favorite performer and songwriter in the history of the world is Joni Mitchell. You have a little... When Joni switched... Joni, like we're buddies. When Joni Mitchell switched from the beginning of her career to sort of the Court and Spark and then Mingus and the... You really sound the help. Don't you think there's a thing there? I mean, it's really...
That's a huge compliment. Thank you so much, Jim. I grew up with her, and...
you did?
Well, not with her, but I listened to her a lot as a teenager, and my one dream is to write a lyric as beautiful as Hey Gira.
Oh my God.
The poetry that comes out of her is just
And
insane,
actually, the first time that we played together ever was a Joni Mitchell tribute.
Oh, that's great.
At the Beehive.
She had no idea what you were talking about. Okay, so what are you playing the second time, and then you got to run back there and do it?
So we're going to do the title track of the album, Encontro, which, as we said, is this beautiful image of the two of us sharing our lives as musicians and partners, and how we can share our lives and flow out to the ocean together.
Yeah.
Jess and Caio, you go back to your bandmates, and we will promote your 17th performance yet again.
Thank you so
Gently
much
put your
for
headphones
having
down on the table, if you would. You want to read the...
I think we have a photo of the
we do?
meeting water.
Okay,
yes,
let's do
for
it.
the stream, which I'm very excited about. Okay, so here's the deal. If you want to get more information...
That's not possible. That is unbelievable.
For tickets and information, go to the rockwell.org or caio.com, and I'll spell it for
Caio
you.
To you,
Caio. C-A-I-O-E. Jess.com.
And here they are. Welcome back.
Strangers bend and curve, deepen and shape the earth as they grow, each their own rebirth. Shelter side and side, unknowing gardens of life, but as it springs forth, wakes subside. All so clearly as they were meant to be.
Just beautiful. Thank you so much.
Caio and Jess ahead of their release show on June 17th at the Rockwell in Somerville of their new album Encuentro. For tickets and more info, go to therockwell.org or caiojess.com. Sue O'Connell is next.
GBH is committed to lifelong learning, and the Beacon Circle shares that commitment with gifts of $2,400 or more. It's one big way to help keep our community informed and connected. Learn more at gbh.org/Beacon Circle.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Classic Harbor Line, offering a range of cruises for families, corporate gatherings, and sightseeing day sails throughout the summer in Boston. More at classicharborline.com. And the Museum of Fine Arts, with free admission on June 19th and 20th to celebrate Juneteenth and America at 250. Visitors can explore old favorites and new stories in reopened Art of the Americas galleries. More at mfa.org.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library. Thank you. And streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Sue O'Connell, who's standing right across from me now, she's going to be co-hosting with Trenny Casey on Monday when Jim and I are out. We're going to be on tape on Wednesday because we have our annual show retreat where Jim sort of pretends he listens to all the suggestions from our staff at Boston Public Library. It's closed on June 19th, but we're going to be live on the air from Brighton. Anyway, hello again, Jim. And by the way,
what's going to happen in 45 minutes, Margaret? Come on, get with the program.
What's going to happen in 45 minutes?
A mentalist who's going to be on the Curiosity Desk is going to read our minds.
That's right.
Or
He is going to read our minds.
Scary
I also want to
thing
say,
like that.
A lot of people asked about your interview yesterday with that it played yesterday with
Rachel Rollins. Shirley Young and I did the interview.
Yes, you both did it together.
Yep.
You can read Shirley's piece at the Boston Globe.
Power Play.
Power Play is the name of their newsletter, and you can see it at GBH. How do you
YouTube.com/GBH. She just started working here the other day, so you have to excuse.
Got away from her. Huh?
We're
a
joined now.
lot of trains get away from me, Sue.
We're joined now at the library desk by our favorite local woman. That'd be Sue O'Connell, media maven, NBC 10 news influencer, political analyst, co-host of the podcast That Issue, the 2026 midterm elections. That's available every Monday, and you just won an Emmy for Best Commentary on TV.
Congratulations.
I was tied with CVB, the entire Channel 5 editorial department. I was tied with them.
Can I tell you,
your commentaries are great. I see them on Instagram all the time. They're great.
Thank you.
They're really good.
Marjorie and I have had an argument for years. The last time when I was on television, I was nominated at NECN for Best Host.
Yes.
I was beaten by a woman who hosted. I did a news show.
No, you did
and I was pretty good.
Let's
say, okay, fine. I was beaten by a woman who hosted a Portuguese cooking show in Portuguese.
So
now,
I will say,
what do you think of that?
Let me say this about that.
No disrespect intended.
No. It's always a game. Entering any contest,
okay.
any of these contests, you have
Go
to
ahead.
know what to do and how to do it. When I hosted 1 in 10 with Keith Orr on WFNX, a
which
radio
we
show,
listened to before we even knew you,
we won Best Talk Show at the March of Dimes Air Awards.
Yeah.
And our segment that we submitted to judge was us interviewing the Barney's window dresser. And it was up against somebody who went to Bosnia. And
my gosh.
Oh, God.
So,
well, that's a variation on a theme.
Live from Bosnia versus in Lynn talking on the phone to someone. So, yes, but thank you very much. Happy to win.
Congratulations. Really proud of you,
great.
as everybody is.
Okay, this is a really tough story that was so upsetting and cruel, but we're going to get this out of the way because we need to talk about what's going on with these women who fled Iran, what the Trump administration is doing to these women.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the biggest part of this story for me, which I think is really important to understand in the context, is that when President Trump launched against Iran one of the arguments that he and the administration were making was that they were doing this for women's rights in Iran, and they were doing this for the freedom of speech in Iran because, you know, anywhere between 30 and 60,000 people in Iran had been arrested and murdered and killed by their government for protesting. And if you posted, as I did often, or posted a commentary saying, why are we engaging in this war, what I would hear back was, you obviously don't care about women in Iran, do you? And I think that that's true as an American, because obviously we don't care about women in Iran, since we have these Iranian women who came to the U.S. They were granted court protection against deportation to Iran because the judges ruled, our judges ruled, that they faced credible threats, and instead they are being deported from the United States in the middle of an Iranian war that we started to the Central African Republic. And I'd love to hear from anyone who supports the Trump administration or supported this war against Iran as a fight for women's rights to explain to me how this makes sense.
Explain what's going on in the Congo.
It's so dangerous there that the State Department has issued statements for people not to travel to the Central African Republic for any reason. And this
That's
is where
our
they're
State Department.
That's
Yes.
right, the United States State Department. This is where they want to send these Iranian women to a completely foreign country, a totally dangerous country. And they did, and there's been so much outrage about this, try to deport a bunch of Afghans, about 1,000 of them, men, women, and children, some of whom had, the husbands and maybe the wives too, the women had helped with our troops when they were in Afghanistan. They wanted to deport them to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and veterans were so upset about it. They have at least stalled that for the moment. But this is just another incredibly cruel.
The cruelty is the point. I mean, look, this
totally
is not
is the point.
it's cliche to say now, but you know, someone will be listening and saying, "Well, if they followed the rules, this wouldn't happen." That isn't the point.
They
right?
did follow the rules.
They did. They did follow the
Didn't
rules.
matter.
And when they're arguing about the visa reinforcement of going to your home country to apply for a visa when you've been here, people who have not been through the immigration process have no idea how ridiculously difficult it was under the best of circumstances, right? So it's easy enough to forget to do something. It's easy enough. They don't necessarily remind you on a regular basis. But just the message that we're sending as we are hosting the world here is so horrendously embarrassing to me that it's where we start a war with Iran, and then at the same time we're deporting women who fled Iran due to credible threats that a United States judge affirmed, and we're sending them to another war-torn country that they have nothing to do with it. It's
Can I say
despicable.
two things about that? One, I agree with every word you said. And two, as good as that commentary was, this morning I heard a commentary about chorizo on Portuguese TV on the South Shore.
Oh, God.
Far better than
That's
that.
gonna win.
Can we
Okay.
come back to a local thing
Yeah.
where there's also harm? I'm not putting in the same league, so don't get your whatever's in it. Here is police body cam footage of this tense meeting between the principal of Ipswich High School, Jonathan Mitchell, and two fathers of students who play lacrosse who were banned from I think a semifinal championship match for posing with what appeared to be cigars. Here's the back and forth.
I'm doing my job. How we enforce the rules? I can't just look the other way. We've got more evidence that says they did it than not.
You do. You honestly believe that?
Yeah, the photograph. You can't lie with the photograph. You can laugh all you want. You can't laugh with the pictures.
But there's the stuff right there.
Yeah.
Let's get a match and light it. Show you how fast it burns. It's dry paper and friggin' windy and lighting it with torches. It's not a real cigar.
I'm not going to even get into the evidence.
Okay, that wasn't really
why
clear.
wouldn't you?
When the guy says, when one of the fathers said, I'm going to burn this thing and show you, what's he talking about? What do they allege the real deal was?
So the students and the parents are saying, and the person who made these cigars, they're not real cigars. They were prop cigars, right? They are not tobacco. They were not meant to be smoked. They were just simply a prop that they used. And I don't know if any of you have been to a private school graduation, high school graduation, but one of the first things the boys do after they graduate is they go out to the parking lot and light up cigars. And it really appears as if these were not indeed real cigars. And what the dad is trying to show is if this were a real cigar, it would not burn in this way. And, you know, obviously due process is not something that high school students get to experience, and I certainly understand the school administrator's stance on trying to treat everyone fairly, but it's not evidence, this photo. I think in this day of AI and all sorts of photo manipulation, they should be able to present their case. And I think this was an extreme overreaction to this photo, and I think that there's evidence that I would probably say that they were prop cigars. Now,
didn't they have somebody from the store?
Yeah, the store said he sold them to
this
them.
is not tobacco?
This is not tobacco. They're just prop cigars. You don't smoke them. So are we now going to say to students, what if they were at a paint gun game, right? And they're shooting each other with paint guns or water guns. Are we going to say you can't do that either? You can't participate because it violates one of our school policies? So I just think this is an extreme overreaction.
And should you mention they couldn't play in the semifinals?
Yeah, they can't play in the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean,
they're seniors.
It's horrible, I think.
This is also the moment for seniors. I know you both were professional athletes and
we
varsity athletes in high school.
They're
probably not going to get this again, right? When
No,
you are a
that's the
senior
worst part
and
of
you're
this.
playing, you may not play in college. This is a big part of your high school life, and I just find it. Of all the things in the world to be criticizing students and disciplining them about, and the lesson here that they leave with is that it doesn't matter how much evidence you have, you're still going to be ruled on. And maybe that will help them in the future not be corporate raiders or something. But at the same time, I just think it's an overreaction.
I want to say two things here. One, if you couldn't make out the sound, the principal said near the end, quote, "I'm not going to even get into the evidence." And number two, this is a Jim Browdy rule of debates. I generally approach things saying there are two sides. You got to find the truth is when a figure like the principal refuses to even talk to the Boston Globe and give his side, guilty is charged.
Right.
That's the default. If you're not willing to explain your position, then we are entitled to assume the worst case, and I feel really horrible for these kids
me too.
about what happened. We're talking to Sue O'Connell, Emmy winner extraordinaire.
Okay, one of my favorite movies people know is Airplane.
Oh, really, Marjorie?
Really, it's not Seabiscuit? Oh, I'm sorry. Did
Secretariat.
I break the rules?
Secretariat.
Whatever.
Excuse me. Secretariat. Would have left Seabiscuit in the dust as well. We all know that.
You're right.
But anyway, there's this new kind of takeoff about this this train.
It's a parody of a parody, essentially.
It's a parody of a parody. Tell us about Stop That Train, Sue
Well,
O'Connell.
thank goodness RuPaul and everybody from Drag Race has gotten together and done this parody of Airplane called Stop! Train! And it is a airplane on a train with drag queens.
It's a riot.
So it's not a day-by-day, word-by-word, scene-by-scene recreation of it. But also exciting is Jujubee is in it. And Jujubee is a Boston-born and somewhat raised drag queen who won on Drag Race. So, what RuPaul has been able to accomplish in his career in a time when it's been really, really fraught for trans folks and drag queens and all of that is to continue to bring drag sensibility and humor and empathy, I think, to the masses. So I'm really excited about this movie coming out because I think it's going to be irresistible to even the bigots and haters in the world who are worried about libraries and drag queens reading to kids. So I'm excited that this movie is coming out, and I'm excited that RuPaul is expanding the Ru universe, as they're calling it, into a new realm.
We have some sound. This is Stop That Train. And the sound here, RuPaul plays the president. And here's just a very brief clip from Stop That Train.
Madam President, have you made a decision?
I have. It's time to nuke Russia. Kidding!
It's so funny every time.
I am so disappointed. Our staff, your staff, never misses an opportunity when you mention Airplane, even in passing, to play the same clip we play every day, 5 days a week, 250 days a year, and they failed us today. They failed it. Well, I mean, are we not going to hear the famous clip? Thank you. Okay, fine. Well, I spoke over it. I didn't intend to.
That
You
day to
spoke
stop
over it,
sniffing
yeah.
glue.
But I saw the trailer of the Stop This
Yeah,
Train.
it's
It
really
looks
exciting.
hysterical.
Yeah.
They're trying to avoid. They're speeding along, and they can't keep it from going into stormaganza.
Yes, it's kind of like, what you do around here, Marjorie, when you're taking a train and it goes off the tracks.
That's
it's
right.
All the same
Thank
kind
you.
of thing. So it's
That's
great.
right. Yeah, you never know when the.
Do you know we had Danielle Steele on the show earlier
I
today?
heard.
It's
and
incredible. We didn't even invite her, and she showed up. I mean, that's how big we are.
I don't know where that came from. Danielle
do.
Steele.
Well, she's one of the best-selling authors in the world.
I know.
Exactly.
They weren't exactly, Pulitzer Prize-winning novels.
It doesn't
what
matter.
the heck?
She was AI before there was AI.
Didn't she write like 77
She writes
books or
100
something?
books a day,
Yeah.
and they're all pretty much the same, and everyone keeps buying them.
Okay, now
Okay,
Sue,
this is a good story. Jim is very excited about this.
Well, I'm excited about it because Marjorie, in a mocking tone, every time we talk about something like this, say, Jim claims that he's responsible for Open Newbury Street.
That's right, he
Am
does.
I responsible for Open Newbury Street?
Well, no, but you could say you are.
Actually, I am responsible for Open Newbury Street.
Jim is responsible for opening
However,
Newbury Street.
when we lobbied Commissioner Evans and the mayor, Mayor
Evans,
Walsh, for that, the other half that I didn't succeed at was saying you should be able to drink on the street, just block the streets.
Like New Orleans.
Exactly. Cambridge is doing that
Very
in
exciting.
every single major square,
As long as
including
you have
mine.
food.
And what's the deal?
So Cambridge is, I know you guys were poo-pooing on the World Cup earlier. I am so excited about the World Cup.
You are
being
really?
here. I am thrilled. I have to, full disclosure, Telemundo, my colleagues, we're showing the Spanish language.
Oh.
Fox is showing the English language.
Is that famous Gould guy?
I would urge you to watch, if you're watching the World
great.
Cup, to watch it on
In
Telemundo
Spanish.
because it's going to be so much more fun. And that's just goes right into my pocket as a Comcast Universal, NBC Universal
How much you
employee.
paid to like the World Cup, by the way?
I don't care in terms of that. My kid's really excited about it,
Yeah.
so I'm excited about it. I am thrilled to have watched the Scots walking around playing bagpipes from their Airbnbs
apparently
at
it's a
6 o'clock
big-
in the morning. The Haitian community is so thrilled that we've got folks here. The poor French people, the French players are like, what the heck is going on with this weather? I thought we were going to be in New England. So I'm excited about it, and part of what's also lifting up the energy of the city is Cambridge is allowing folks to have alcohol outside of the restaurants and outside of the bars. Now, I know...
Not everywhere. It's in
not
defined
everywhere,
areas
just
in the
defined
squares.
area.
Is it right in your neighborhood?
I know.
So you buy a drink at the restaurant, and then you can walk
go in
around.
a certain parameter.
I
Now,
like
what
that.
I love about this is when you're like at the waterfront or something, and you see people who haven't been to Boston yet but have traveled around the world, and they've got their drink, and they're just trying to walk outside, and people are saying, no, you can't do that. And you're like, what the heck? What kind of Puritan BS is this? So I'm excited to kind of raise us up to another European level, inch by inch. We're working at keeping the bars open just a little bit later. You now can drink outside like a real adult. I mean, they serve alcohol at Paris Disney, right? And they let you walk around all over the place with it. I think that maybe we would be better drinkers if we didn't have to, be treated like children about drinking. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Cambridge has kind of gone rogue. You wouldn't think that this would be the place it would start, would
Well,
you? I mean,
they're
city
competing
council
with
over there.
Boston for the nightlife and the excitement around all this.
Can
So
you
I'm all
explain to
for
me,
it.
I've literally been advocating for this kind of thing. What is the argument? As long as it's in a controlled area, you can't walk out of that area with the drink. You got to drink within that thing. What is the argument against this?
It's just a
puritanical.
It really is. Whenever we have new employees come to NBC 10 Boston and Telemundo, and they're from some other part of the country, like a newer part, like California, and I have to explain things to them, it's because we've always done it this way. There was really very strict liquor rules and alcohol rules that have had to be peeled back as time has gone on. And, I think the least worrisome alcohol consumption is people who are out with friends, drinking,
not in a
having
closet
dinner,
like in college.
and I think that it just adds to the sophistication of the Boston area. So I'm hoping we get that, and I'm hoping at some point, even though my dear beloved Mayor Menino was completely against it, as he once said, nothing good happens after 1 a.m. Why would you be out in a club, and why would you need to take a train home? That was what Mayor Menino
So
once said.
is Telemundo also broadcasting the UFC cage match on Sunday, or are they not?
No, I don't think we are. But
sad.
I would be okay. I just want to say, I would be okay about that if other things were happening. Like
What
if
does
it was
that mean?
If it were a celebration of American
It is
sports.
a celebration of Donald Trump.
Right. So if we had like a volleyball game somewhere else along the mall, if other things were happening, and it's just the whole point of this
I know what
desecration
you mean.
of the White House lawn.
So, well, speaking of White House lawns and desecration, there was a story about the numbers 86-47.
Yeah.
86, as I learned about it working in restaurants, is when the roast beef is out, it's 87. When the fillet is out, it's 86 rather.
What restaurant
also
did you
means
work in?
Red Coach Grill.
Oh,
they obviously
no wonder
like
I didn't
the chef. Yeah.
A long time.
86 usually means kill it. So if you yell 86,
get rid of some. Yeah.
86 the mac and cheese, it means don't serve the mac and cheese.
Yeah, usually that's not what I learned. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, it's over. Oh, yeah. So take it off the menu.
Yeah, take it off the menu.
We're
it's
getting
gone.
there. We're
Okay.
getting
Anyway,
Slowly, but we're getting there,
8647
Step by step.
was put on the National Mall, but we think it was Roundup. Jamie thinks it was Roundup. So it's a message.
Burn into the grass.
Yeah. So of course,
huge.
This is a. Oh God, this is one of those crazy issues that because Comey posted that photo and is
the seashells
that he said he didn't do, that said 86.
47.
Which is an indication to some that something bad should happen to Donald Trump, and I think that wasn't Comey's intention whatsoever. However, there is a point in which we know that speech ends up, free speech, artistic speech, expressive speech, protest speech, can go over the line and end up being threatening speech, in which case then the threatening speech becomes something that you can prosecute. Now, doing this 86 on a federal property in Washington, D.C., I think it's worth investigating and it's worth looking at.
Oh, they are.
It's probably completely harmless. But at the same time, this is when speech starts turning into something that could be more than a threat. However, if they didn't make such a big deal out of Comey and his seashells, we wouldn't be having this discussion at all.
Do you believe he's being criminally prosecuted?
I cannot believe on a daily basis. I can't believe
incredible.
that he's being criminally prosecuted for something that was just ridiculous.
Before you go, you didn't answer the question. How much are you being paid to like the World Cup?
I'm not getting paid anything for it.
Raise your right hand.
I'm not getting any extra money. But I'll tell you what. I sit with my Telemundo colleagues. I'm in the aisle at work. And I came in yesterday without a football jersey on.
Yes.
Kit. I didn't have a football kit on. And Juan, one of my colleagues who's Mexican, from Mexico, Mexican-American, was very upset with me.
I can understand that.
And I had kind of forgotten that it was launch day yesterday.
Can we hear it for Emmy Award winner Sue O'Connell? Congratulations, Sue.
And Sue O'Connell, of course, is also our beloved media maven from NBC 10 News. And she's an influencer as well and co-host of the podcast At Issue, the 2026 midterm elections, available every Monday. Thanks a lot, Sue, for coming in. Coming up after this quick break, we're going to speak with Leah Gould of Northwestern Law to talk about the state of women in the military. I am Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy, listening to BPR 89.7 GBH live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
Sometimes the story you need to hear isn't the one dominating the news. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III, host of the Curiosity Desk. Our mission? To be your guide through it all. From how does it work to how did we get here? From compound interest to, well, compounds, like molecules and stuff. We'll follow our curiosity wherever it leads. Join us on the journey, weekdays at 1 here on GBH 89.7.
Support for our programs comes from you
and the Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority, committed to simplifying college planning for families over 45 years with trusted guidance, interactive tools, step-by-step videos, and more. MEFA.org. And Dean and Hamilton with Compass Real Estate, representing buyers and sellers in Cohasset, sponsor of the South Shore Art Center's 71st Annual Festival on Cohasset Common, June 19th through 21st. More at deanandhamilton.com.
Welcome back to BPR and 89.7 GBH. I'm Jim Browdy. She's Marjorie Egan. We're live at the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. The Attorney General will join us for an hour, take your questions and ours, on June 23rd. First week of July, Mayor Wu will be with us for an hour. And we will have a date, we hope, for the governor for an hour in the next day or two. Today is Universal Women's Veterans Day in recognition of the signing of the Women's Armed Services Integration Act of 1948. Our next guest will speak tonight at a Women's Veterans Day rally in Chicago. Leah Gould is the Assistant Dean of the Public Interest Center at Northwestern Law. She's a Navy veteran. She joins us now on Zoom to discuss the state of women in the military in the time of Pete Hegseth, whose mother even hates him, and the legal challenges still to get women the same rights afforded men. Leah Gould, we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, before we move on from the Women's Veterans Day, elaborate a little bit on what Jim said. Explain the celebration, what goes on, why it happens, when it happens, etc.
Well, as you know, women do not have equal rights or equal protection under the Constitution, and that manifests in a variety of ways for women all over the country, but also for women who serve in the military and veterans. And so we come together to recognize the sacrifice of those women, as well as continue the fight to ultimately gain equality.
You know, before we get to the subject at hand, when you read the other day, Leah Gould, about Hegseth deleting from the list of promotions in the Navy of, not coincidentally, recommended people of color and women, I think every woman on the list was taken off, if I remember correct. What was your reaction?
Anger, frustration. I know a lot of these women, a lot of these officers, and they are incredible. If anything, women often have to prove themselves more than once to get where they are. And so to have them removed from promotion lists like this after probably outperforming their male peers, it's just beyond infuriating.
So, Leah, the primary reason you're here, beyond the opportunity to wish you the Happy Women's Veterans Day, you're a signer on a brief submitted to the Supreme Court on behalf of thousands of women veterans and not, filed by Wendy Murphy, who's obviously a local lawyer, that surrounds an issue around draft registration in this country. Could you tell us what the case is all about, if you would?
Sure. So to give you a bit of background, the current Supreme Court precedent is found in a case called Rosker v. Goldberg, which held that women could be excluded from the draft because women were excluded from combat roles. And the purposes of the draft originally were to really help fill those combat roles. But for the past 10 plus years, those combat roles have been open to all women. Now, since then, in 2021, at least 3 Supreme Court justices have indicated a willingness to revisit the decision in Rosker v. Goldberg and open up the draft to include women. The issue there is that women still do not receive equal protection under the law, and that's what our cases address. So a lot of men's rights groups have been bringing matters saying women should be included in the draft, but they want to continue to keep women under what is called intermediate scrutiny, a level of review of, in courts that does not offer the same protections as race, for example, which is covered by strict scrutiny. And so our case, the equal means equal case, also asks that the court consider the question of whether gender should be considered under the strict scrutiny standard.
You know, before you explain strict versus intermediate scrutiny, you mentioned women serving. They're not only serving, they're dying with unequal rights. Most recently, Sergeant First Class Nicole Amour, we all know, was one of the 13 people killed in this war in Iran. So the current situation is they're equal enough to serve and die, but they're not equal before the law of the United States. Could you explain the intermediate scrutiny versus strict? What's that mean in layperson's language? What's the consequence?
Sure. So the strict scrutiny standard is the standard that the Supreme Court uses to consider government discrimination of race, for example. And so it is the most, by its name, strict level of review. The government must show that it has narrowly tailored its efforts to discriminate, and it is based on a compelling government interest. Intermediate scrutiny, on the other hand, is a more permissive standard. It allows for room for more generalizations, more stereotypes about women, and it would allow those distinctions to continue even if it wouldn't have under strict scrutiny.
You know what I wonder, Leah, is Jim mentioned Pete Hegseth before and blocking promotions of women that seem to be entitled to those promotions. But what's your sense of the morale of women in the military now? I would think it would be a very tough time.
Well, in the military, we're taught to be apolitical, and that is something I know that my colleagues who are still serving are doing their best to do. We serve a mission, and we do our best to carry out that mission, no matter what conditions under which we are operating. But I do imagine that morale has slumped, especially for women and people of color in the military.
You know, Leah Gould, can I just, so people are clear and so I'm clear, this brief that you signed on to, and by the way, the only cases before the Supreme Court on this issue were filed with men as plaintiffs. Here there are thousands of women, and the men as plaintiffs are not raising the issue of what level of scrutiny discrimination against women gets. These set of plaintiffs that Wendy Murphy filed and you signed on to would. We're talking roughly 20% of the military. Is that an approximate number, or women in 2026? Is that right?
That's right.
And number two, to clarify, the position of the plaintiffs in you is not pro or anti-draft. It is about the issue of equal treatment for people who are doing equal work, women in this case, right?
Exactly. I want to be clear. We are not pro-war or pro-draft. We are using these cases as a vehicle to get this issue before the Supreme Court.
And is there anything that people can do that are listening to us right now about this? Does it matter if they get in touch with their politicians or what?
I think that's always helpful. The ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, is something that would make it explicit in the U.S. Constitution that women deserve the same level of review as discrimination based on race. And so that is an open question right now. President Biden did acknowledge that the ERA had been ratified, but the Archivist of the United States has not. And so if we are not able to get this done at the courts, it would be a constitutional amendment. And this is one of the efforts we can undertake to see that happen.
By the way, let me just clarify on that for those who don't know. Enough states voted to put this in the Constitution. The argument is that against it is that the final states were too late. But as you say, President Biden said it's part of the Constitution, and all that has to happen is for the archivist to certify what the president said, but they have not done that. Happy Women's Veterans Day, Leah Gould, and we really appreciate your time, and good luck in your case.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We've been speaking with Leah Gould, Assistant Dean of the Public Interest Center at Northwestern Law. We thank her very much for her time and her efforts. Coming up after this quick break, we're going to open the lines. On this tail end of turkey mating season, one Cambridge resident was brutally attacked by... It wasn't you. No, it was not. It was a gentleman on a blue bike. We're going to hear all about that in a second. Chased and attacked by at least one of them. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You're listening to BPR 89.7 GBH live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
This week on Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, June is being rebranded as Anti-Pride Month in a handful of states. Colorado takes legal steps to protect against conversion therapy, and Rhode Island parents of transgender kids fight the Department of Justice. It's our LGBTQ+ News Roundtable. That's Under the Radar with me, Callie Crossley, Sunday night at 6 here on 89.7 GBH and the GBH app.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And MIT Federal Credit Union, believing the right home starts with the right support. More at mitfcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 699225. And the University of Rhode Island's College of Business with an online Master's of Science in Supply Chain Management designed to prepare students to develop resilient and flexible supply chain strategies. URI.edu/MS Supply Chain.
Welcome back to BPR on 89.7 GBH. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy. We are live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. We're going to talk to you for the next bunch of minutes, and then right for the end of the show, a mentalist who is going to be appearing on the Curiosity Desk, who talked to us before our show, is going to spend 2 minutes with us, and I think he's going to read our minds, or he's going to do something, so don't go away. As Marjorie said, it's turkey mating season, at least the tail end of it. Do you get that, Marjorie, the tail end of it?
I get the very cute, Jim.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We're ending the show and sending you into the weekend with this, the story of a Cambridge man, not me, attacked by a group of our feathered fiends. Here they are.
All right, you guys. Ah! What the hell? Oh, we gotta go, dude.
I wouldn't be laughing. In coverage in the Globe, the man says he wasn't aware of the turkey's penchant for violence.
That's
and completely taken off guard when the turkeys approached him, circled him while I tried to get access, as Marjorie said, to a blue bike, and then lunged for him as he tries to bike away. But regular walkers or bikers, even drivers throughout Greater Boston, likely have their own encounter with these beasts. We'd like to hear your turkey trauma. 877-301-8970. And because no one on our staff, since it is mating season, was able to answer the question, if any of you know how turkeys mate, Marjorie would like to hear that. 877-301-8970. You ever had a turkey encounter of an unkind kind?
Well, I know that you have had several turkey encounters because you've relayed them before. They all seem to be attacking you, Jim. I have not had any turkey encounters, but there's turkeys every place. And this poor guy, if you see the video, it's weird. It must have just been the mating season kind of thing because he's going up to the blue bikes and he's trying to unlock one of the blue bikes, and there's a couple of turkeys. And as he takes away the blue bike, the turkeys seem to go wild and chase him down the street. Exactly. And he's trying to ride his bike, and one of them scratches him. I guess it didn't break the skin, but really hurt him. So it was unclear why they were so hostile toward him.
Well, maybe they wanted to mate with him. I don't know.
I don't know.
By the way, there are a ton of these stories. There was the male, am I right? A mail carrier who ended up having to get a hip replacement.
Yeah.
There was a woman in the car. You know, they peck at the damn whatever cars are made out of, metal, into the damn metal and make dents in it. It's really frightening.
Yeah, there was a guy attacking a mail truck in Centerville. That was a big one. And then there was this woman, just a few years, well, actually it was more than that.
Is this the pregnant woman?
This is the pregnant woman. This is 2019
I remember
now.
This.
But she was this woman that was just walking with the street. She said she was 7 months pregnant, very pregnant. And she was attacked by, again, a group of 5 wild turkeys. And after that, she said she was so afraid to go out and walking around, she carries with her this huge golf umbrella to make her kind of look like a turkey, with the plume thing, to ward them off.
Some of my friends who are lonely go out looking like turkeys in the hopes they'll get lucky. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not endorsing that behavior.
They do seem to be everywhere.
By the way, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say they do seem to be everywhere, and they make people very nervous.
I'd like to make an observation and answer a listener's anonymous text question. One, I've said this to you every time we talked about the wild turkeys through the years. I am 6'5" tall, as you know.
Yep.
Every turkey in Massachusetts, its pecker is exactly the height of the crotch of a 6'5" No, I'm serious. That's true. That's one.
You've been traumatized.
I have, actually. I've never been hurt, but I've been scared.
Okay.
Are there any suggestions for fixing this problem? Get it, fixing, meaning turkeys. Thank you. The answer is yes.
Yes.
I read this morning. One, you're supposed to make loud noise, which, by the way, does not work.
You haze or harass the turkey.
Or if you have a water hose, which most of us don't carry with us, you spray the turkeys, and theoretically
or a
they
leaf
walk
blower.
Yeah. Well, how many times you walk down the street with a leaf blower?
Well, it's like this woman. She walks down the street now with this big, huge golf umbrella, and then when the turkeys come near her, she opens it and is sort of just scare them away that she's kind of a bigger turkey than they are. You're supposed to use dominant body language that make you look larger than the turkey, but you could do it because you are large.
I am large.
But if you're like a 5'2" person, that's going to be very, very difficult because the turkeys are quite big, and they are everywhere.
Now, before we get to
you see them in the trees at night?
I have. That is really
Isn't
scary because you
wild?
forget some of them can fly, which is really incredible.
Wouldn't you think they'd be worried about falling? They sleep up there. Wouldn't you? They'd be worried about falling asleep?
Well, I think they do something else in mating season. Now, let me say one more thing. If Cy Montgomery was here, do you know what Cy Montgomery would say?
She would say, befriend the turkeys.
She would say,
don't feed them,
if we didn't destroy their habitats by building everywhere, they wouldn't be in the cities to begin with. And you know what? She's totally right.
She's right. You're not supposed to feed them. You have to keep that in mind. Amber from Worcester says we had a tom turkey that would sleep in our tree and gobble all night and then attack our neighbors each morning. It was crazy how he got in the tree, basically one flap of his massive wings. It was like he would levitate up to his roost.
And Dana Randolph says the turkey is the a-hole. Unfortunately, that was yesterday, Dan. One day late, but thank you for your contribution. Susan in Merrimack, you're first on BPR. Welcome to the show. It's the Turkey Trauma Hour. Hi.
Hi. So this is turkey trauma in reverse.
Okay.
We came home from vacation recently and found the remains of a turkey strewn around my yard, including one whole intact wing, which, by the way, was gone the next morning. I suspect it may be Sue O'Connell's old nemesis, a coyote.
Coyote.
Yeah.
But in my neighborhood, the turkey got what was coming to it.
Well, that's not fair. I mean, you don't want a dead turkey. You just want him to go away, right? I mean, is that not what you meant? Yeah, I mean, okay.
I wouldn't have done it myself, but obviously nature took a hand in this.
Well, that's an adequate response. Susan, thank you much for your story and your call. We appreciate it.
A big leashed dog is also a suggestion, so maybe you should borrow a dog. Well, you got dogs. They're not huge.
I don't have dogs. They're my kids' dogs.
Have dogs.
When they're around, I have
You should go out with the dogs, and that will protect
These
you.
dogs, by the way, are like the size of my fists. I mean, they're not scaring any turkey anywhere.
This is Chuck from Brighton. I haven't been attacked by turkeys, but I have been attacked by Canadian geese. I think we're supposed to call them Canada geese.
It is Canada geese.
Just the other day at Walden Pond, I had a Canada goose fly across the pond and try to take me out. I think it was near its eggs, but I had no idea because they've beachified the entire perimeter of the pond. He also reminds us that Benjamin Franklin thought the turkey would be a better national bird than the eagle.
Anonymous texter says Trump got attacked by a turkey, so he bombed Turkey. That is probably a likely occurrence.
Before everybody kind of got accustomed to the turkeys being around, there was a Dunkin' Donuts near me in Washington Square.
I know where that was,
in Brookline.
Yeah.
And the turkeys would be waiting outside the Dunkin' Donuts because they'd be coming out with the food, right? And then you would see people. It wasn't funny. You're not supposed to run.
Why are you laughing? It was not funny.
But I don't know, because the vision is funny.
Good.
People coming out with their Dunkin' Donuts and their Kreller or whatever they've got, and the turkeys would be chasing them down Beacon Street, and you'd see the people with their Dunkin' Donuts being chased by the turkeys. You're not supposed to run away from the turkeys because that shows a submissive attitude. You're supposed to pump yourself up so you can look dominant. 877-301-8970 is the number. Rob from East Bridgewater. What do you think, Rob?
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Marjorie. Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Long time. I used to call in when you were on the other station. But
oh, wow.
during the day.
Where you been the last 15 years? What happened?
Working. I'm trying to make a living.
That's right.
Okay.
Don't let them give you any guff.
Go ahead. What's up?
Turkeys in the end, turkeys are just birds, and all birds flee when something goes overhead because their natural predators tend to be hawks and that sort of thing. And so if you can hold something over a turkey, something physical, not personal information, they will flee.
Good line.
Okay. Like what? Like the woman that has a great big golf umbrella?
Exactly. If you take that umbrella and you extend it out towards them, they will flee because it's just a natural reaction to having something go overhead. Chickens are a great example of this. If you wave something over a chicken, they'll go to ground, they squat or flee. But all birds flee from something that's overhead.
All right. Well, we'll take
now,
that.
You seem to have had a lot of experience with these. Is there a rampage of turkeys going on in East Bridgewater?
Oh, he's not going. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
A lot of turkeys down there?
Absolutely. I have 7 of them on my property, and the kids love to watch them in the evening as they fly up into the biggest oak tree. It is something to see. A flock of turkeys all take off at once.
And how come they don't fall out of the trees?
Again, they have thousands of years of experience.
You're like a man of great wisdom, Rob.
Because you do.
Call us again
Rob,
soon.
It's a great call. What? Go ahead.
Last time I called in, I tried to explain collateralized debt obligations for you.
Please don't do that again.
My goodness. Yeah.
Rob, thank you for the call.
But when you do see the turkeys, they're these huge things that look like they weigh at least like 30 or 40 pounds.
Turkeys,
and they're on a very narrow little bough or branch. And
you ever seen an eagle in a tree? Or on
but
a
they're
mountain?
not sleeping.
Okay.
That's different.
Okay, fine.
The
Now-
eagles are perched there because they're going to come get something there.
Okay, Jamie,
Predator
isn't this character
eagles.
who's going to read our minds supposed to be standing up here now, or what? We
Oh.
do this for 5 more. 5 more, and then we do it. Okay.
Okay.
But he'll start edging in our direction in the next.
Now,
few
we
minutes.
have sound, apparently, of the
No,
women.
you know what this is going to be? Let me tell you what this is. I'm not falling for this. Our team sent us a text note says, we have the exclusive sound of the women chasing. I know, by the way, they didn't tell me. I know what it is. It's the women in the grape crushing the, am I right? It's the women crushing the grapes. This is the least imaginative bunch of people. Am I right or am I right? Okay, let's play along. We have the exclusive sound of the women chasing the turkey. Let's hear it. Now, I have to explain that every time. What happened is there's a newscast in some place. I don't remember where it is. And the newscast has a wine person as a woman and another woman who's the news person crushing grapes in a barrel. And is it the news person who has the, whatever. One of the women, while crushing grapes, loses her balance and falls out of the barrel and falls right on her face. And exactly. And despite the fact that she's enough. Despite the fact that she's in obvious distress. Look at Jamie. Can you see Jamie? Laughing like crazy, even though this woman did a face plant and probably is serious. Look at him, like a fool. Okay. 877-301-8970. I read the clock wrong. We have a few more calls.
Pat in Weymouth, thank you for calling,
We're
Pat.
talking turkey, so
We're talking
to speak.
turkey.
Hi, Pat. What's up?
Hi there. I was driving on an inner road of my complex, and there was, and I'm driving slow.
Yeah.
And then there's a turkey that's coming down the road towards me, and he's got his tail up.
Uh-oh.
And just for the fun of it, I pulled over, rolled down my window, or brought down my window, and I said, gobble, gobble, gobble. He almost flew through my window.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
It scared me to death, and I shut it as fast as I could. I mean, he was inches from coming through my window.
Pat, give us the gobble gobble one more time.
Good. Let me tell you, I'd jump through your window in the other direction if I heard you doing that. Now,
That's
Pat,
pretty good.
Pat,
you practiced that for a while, I can tell.
We don't want to insult you, but what did you think was going to happen when you imitated a turkey to a turkey?
I just thought I would be one of the gang, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Pat, give us one more time.
One more time, maybe many times. That's really nice. Can you do any other animals? It wasn't that good. Can you do any other animals, or is that
how
it?
about a donkey?
Go ahead.
How about a donkey?
Go ahead.
Now
Now that, by the way, donkeys are now running down Boylston Street towards Weymouth. It's unbelievable. Okay, can you do a chicken? Pat, we're not letting you go yet because you're our best caller in weeks.
Do I have to go through the whole?
Yeah, go through the whole farm. Go ahead. What else you got going?
All right,
Can you do a chicken? Come on.
What's a chicken?
I have
What's
no
a
idea.
chicken?
They cluck.
Chicken's a little yellow
They
thing
cluck.
with lays eggs. What other animal can you do? Move this along, Pat. What other animal can you do?
I can do a sheep.
Oh, good.
I can
Let's
do
do
a
that.
sheep.
Go ahead.
Okay.
That's horrible. Is your family embarrassed at all or no? No?
Oh well, I put down a fictitious name.
That's probably
That's a good idea.
That was a very good move, Pat. That was an excellent, uplifting call. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Can you do any animals?
No, I'm not doing any animals, Jim. Would you care to do any? Wow.
Who was
that?
that?
Was pretty good. That was Jamie.
No, it was not. Do you know Jared can do Katharine Hepburn?
We know
Is
about
Jared
that.
here yet?
Yeah.
He's not here
Would you
yet.
like to do an animal, Jim?
No, I don't want to do an animal.
Demonstrate?
I can do an animal.
Wilbur.
Wilbur, open the door.
People.
You know what that one is?
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed.
You have to be
you
like
could do,
90 years old to know what that one is.
You could also do Topo Gigio from the old Ed Sullivan Show. Give us that.
Eddie, I love you, Eddie.
It's a hand puppet. It's a mouse. Unfortunately, these references are for nonogenarians who Okay,
That's right.
Our moment of truth has come.
Okay.
This is Mentalist. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Tom Indigo. And Tom, you're only going to get a small taste of him here, thank God, because he's going to be on
He's going to be on with Edgar.
Edgar on the Curiosity
That's
Desk.
right.
So this is a preview. So, Tom, explain to people what you asked Marjorie and me to do, and then do whatever the hell you're going to do.
And what a mentalist is.
Oh, what's a mentalist?
Yeah, what's a mentalist?
What is a mentalist?
Man, well, first of all, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
You're a little young to be a mentalist, don't you think?
I'm like 100 years old.
Okay, fine. Go ahead. What's a mentalist?
So a mentalist is kind of like an intersection between a magician and a psychic. We're
Okay.
able to apparently read minds, manipulate thoughts, gaslighting
Wow.
for entertainment.
Yeah, gaslighting for entertainment.
Yeah.
So what do you ask us to do before the show this morning, please?
So before the show this morning, I asked Marjorie, I asked you to start thinking about someone who was important to you, someone alive, someone who's had a positive influence on you, and you have someone in mind.
I
yes?
do.
That's important.
Oh, am I supposed to get it in my bag?
Not at all.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
It's obviously me, so how hard is that to guess?
I guess we're going to find out.
Thank
because
you,
there is
Derek.
something that I gave
appreciate
you
it.
into that little envelope for you to hold on to for later. That's a prediction for a time in your life in the very near future. But
Okay.
that's just for you. And if that
Okay.
prediction turns out to be true, give me a shout out on this show.
Oh,
Fair
great.
enough?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
How about me?
You. I remember you.
No, that's not the question.
Jim.
What'd you ask me to do?
I asked you to think of a number between 1 and 100. Do you have one in mind?
Oh, whoops.
Don't say it out loud just
Okay,
yet. But
yeah.
if you want to change your mind, you're more than welcome to. But do you have something?
Well, I actually had a 4-digit number. I thought you said 1 in 1,000. So what? Can you start with her, and then I'll come up with a number? You want me to do the number right now?
You know what? I'd rather put you on the spot right now, if that's okay.
Okay.
Come on, Jim. It's not that hard.
Okay, I got it.
Excellent.
I got
Now,
it. I know it's not that hard.
I do have a prediction written down right here. I've been watching you, Jim. I
Yeah.
think I know what decision you're going to make. And what I told you before the show started was the number that you decide on is going to correspond to a list of famous people on my phone. So
Okay.
right now, tell me, what number are you thinking of?
What number did I just change it to?
Yeah.
40.
And you're happy with that?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
Feel good about it?
40.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
I
important.
do.
Now, Marjorie, I'll go ahead and show you this because you're a little bit closer.
Mhm.
I have one notes app on my phone. It is right there, and one list of famous people at the very top. And if we scroll through that list, you can see they're all different, yes?
Uh-huh.
That's important. And
Yep.
if we could show, it's going to be tough to zoom in.
Well,
on
we
the camera.
believe you. If
Excellent.
Marjorie
We-
says that.
Right, you're the eyes and ears of the audience. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is number 40 in that list?
Number 40 on that list is Arun Roth, who
Yes,
is
indeed.
a broadcaster here at WGBH. He does the afternoon edition.
Indeed, one of my favorite famous people, and also exactly who I predicted that you would choose.
That is not even. That is really. Wait a second.
How'd you like that?
What if I hadn't
How'd you like
changed the
that?
number?
Then I guess it wouldn't have worked. I'm so glad that you, that you made the
That's
choice.
not.
That's
in all
pretty good.
seriously, that's not. That
Jim,
is
I
pre-
hope you lose sleep over this.
Wow.
I really do.
Wow, isn't
Is
that good?
That really is unbelievable.
I appreciate that.
Okay, deal with her.
Marjorie, you're thinking of someone as well.
Wow.
Someone of significance to you. Now, if I ask you for your relationship to this person, will that give it away? Like, is that someone that I could look up on social media, for example?
You probably could, yeah.
Okay, then don't give me any hints at all.
Okay.
Instead, just imagine introducing yourself to me as this person. Look at me, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, and just imagine, hi, my name is...
I'm introducing myself
Yourself
to you as this person.
As this person.
And do I say
And-
the name?
No.
Oh.
Just in your mind.
Okay.
Who's Caroline?
This is like insane.
You got it.
Is that right?
It's her
Who is
daughter.
Caroline?
My
Tell us.
youngest child.
This is
And is
not
there any
even
way anyone could have
possible.
guessed? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are really
That
incredible.
was amazing. Thank you very much.
Deeply
Appreciate you.
disturbing.
I want to know about your relationships. Can you read them out of your girlfriends or your people in your life, your parents and other people in your life? Must really bother them.
You know what? The one person that I can't read at all is my wife. That's a true story. I've never been able to read her, which I think has been a good thing for our relationship. It forces me to learn to actually try to be like a healthy communicator and a good person.
Okay, Tom Indigo is going to be with Edgar B. Herrick III on the Curiosity Desk at the library. Don't go away. Jared's
That
gonna
was
follow.
amazing.
Before you
That was
thank, that
amazing.
was fabulous, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to mention something. We, a friend of ours, a really talented guy, Andres Nelsons, was let go, terminated by the Boston Symphony Orchestra 100 days ago. No response from the leaders there. We invite them on regularly. They talk to the New York Times. They talk to the Berkshire Eagle. Not us. Sunday, outside Symphony Hall, there'll be a demonstration at 1 o'clock to show the musicians who are in total support of Andres that they're not standing alone. 1 o'clock, Sunday, June 14th. Wear or bring a red flower if you can, right outside Symphony Hall.
Okay, I don't have time to thank everybody today because we're out of time, but thank you everybody who helped us today here across the street, back at the station. The Curiosity Desk is going to be next year. This is going to be great. We're going to featuring this medalist that just figured out everybody's names and all that stuff right after us, and then the Culture Show is at 2 o'clock. We're going to be we have the day off on Mondays. Sue O'Connell and Trina Casey are filling in.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
From the stories of centuries past to discoveries that will define our future, How Did We Get Here's how-tos and more. Journey with us down the rabbit hole on the Curiosity Desk. Coming up next on GBH 89.7.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Mass General Brigham. In heart surgery, expertise matters. Mass General Brigham Heart and Vascular Institute performs thousands of surgeries each year and is committed to research and innovation. massgeneralbrigham.org/heart. And the law firm of Davis Malm, committed to protecting clients' intellectual property, one idea at a time. Learn more at davismalm.com.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston, winner of 4 regional Edward R. Murrow Awards. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH, what matters to you?
With fake. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Today on the Curiosity Desk, it's the latest in our Misfit News Week in Review panel, in case you missed it. Up in Ipswich, teenage lacrosse players are facing consequences after posing in a photo with fake-ish cigars in their mouths. After all, it is a slippery slope from fake cigars to black tar. We'll discuss that story and more. And of course, the World Cup is underway. We're just as excited as you are. We've got one reporter standing by to just catch a glimpse of the French national team warming up on the pitch in Bentley. We'll ask him to describe in detail just how good those shorts look. And we've got a mentalist in the building. Tune in to hear if he can guess and reveal my social security number, PIN, and mother's maiden name live on the air. That's the Mystery Desk on the Curiosity Desk. Right now on GBH 89.7.
Shares opened above the listing price.
SpaceX began trading at $150 a share. That's around 11% over the $135 the company had named as its list price. It's now officially the largest initial public offering in history. The IPO is also set to make Elon Musk even richer. He could become the world's first trillionaire. The soaring stock price comes despite the fact that SpaceX has been recording big losses in its AI business. Investors are betting that Musk's vision can take the spaceflight company literally to the moon and beyond. Jeff Brumfield, NPR News.
A federal judge has issued a preliminary injunction blocking the Justice Department's nearly $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. The judge said the move was necessary despite the department's statements that the fund was not moving forward. NPR's Ryan Lucas reports.
At a court hearing on a lawsuit challenging the fund, U.S. District Judge Leah Brinkema said the public statements from DOJ officials that the department was abandoning the fund were not sufficient. She noted that President Trump continues to publicly support the fund and that the government has refused to formally declare under oath that the fund is indeed dead. Judge Brinkema therefore issued a preliminary injunction blocking the fund, but she gave the Justice Department 1 week to provide a clear, unambiguous declaration under penalty of perjury, signed by the acting Attorney General and the U.S. Treasury Secretary, that the fund will not move ahead. If it does so, the judge said she will likely dismiss the lawsuit. If the government does not do so, then the case will move forward. Ryan Lucas, NPR News, Alexandria, Virginia.
Ebola continues to spread in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the latest figures, more than 670 people have contracted the virus and 136 have died. Emmett Livingstone reports.
All appears calm on the streets of Bunia, a city of over 1 million people in a Tori province in eastern Congo. But the easy atmosphere belies the ongoing crisis. Hand-washing stations have sprung up everywhere. And in a central plaza, a screen blares a video explaining Ebola symptoms on loop. 185 cases have been recorded in the city, but there is active transmission in the rural hinterland too. According to the latest government figures, confirmed cases have been recorded in over half of Ituri's health zones. No one knows the true number of people infected. Aid workers say that many people are choosing to stay at home if they develop symptoms, which is complicating the response. For NPR News, I'm Emmett Livingstone in Bunia.
On Wall Street, the Dow was up 352 points. This is NPR.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. As World Cup fans descend on Boston, some are grumbling about the high costs going to the matches. Malcolm West arrived from Scotland on Wednesday with several friends to attend tomorrow's game between Scotland and Haiti. He says they're enjoying Boston, but calls the inflated costs for everything ridiculous.
The prices are just hyped up, and it's not encouraging football fans from all over the world to come to the United States.
West says the MBTA charging 4 times the usual amount for game day commuter rail service to Foxborough is particularly off-putting. He says when he traveled to Germany 2 years ago for the European Soccer Championships, the prices were the same as any other time of the year. Produced in Boston, shared with the World Cup. The Worcester License Commission voted unanimously yesterday to temporarily extend the last call at city bars and restaurants to 3 a.m. throughout July 31st. The extension is because of the FIFA World Cup, whose first match is at Foxborough tomorrow, and the celebration of America's 250th anniversary. The Worcester Guardian reports that Thursday's vote comes after Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey signed a bill on June 8th authorizing municipalities to opt in to the temporary last call extension and to allow for public consumption of alcohol in designated districts this summer. 88 degrees in Boston. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Bank of America, sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026, dedicated to offering solutions to help businesses win locally and globally. More at bankofamerica.com/gamechangers.
Welcome to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We are live at the Boston Public Library, and we are streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Well, we have all made it to Friday, folks, which means it is time for us to go into In Case You Missed It, our weekly menagerie of misfit news, from degenerate teens to Scotsmen with the tightest calves in America, and we might get a little witchy up here, too. With us now, GBH's Tori Bedford, nightside anchor and fill-in host this week for Mark Hers on Morning Edition.
Hello.
And joining her today is CC Paschal. CC's a freelance filmmaker and a Peabody Award-winning audio journalist, formerly with NPR's Louder Than a Riot. Tori, CC, great to have you both with us here.
Thank you. Hey.
So our first story, I think, would have been hard to miss. Earlier in this week when we were putting this together, I think this story was developing a little bit more quietly, but it is like broken out into the mainstream. But we're still going to talk about it right now. And this is up in Ipswich, and a lacrosse team a group of players on this lacrosse team in Ipswich took a photo, which they say was a graduation tradition. And in this photo, they are smoking cigars. Maybe they're real cigars. Maybe they're not real cigars, kind of unclear. Basically, they face some consequences. They're not allowed to play in this lacrosse match. The match has to get canceled, and the fallout has been pretty crazy up in Ipswich right now. So what do we make of this story, CC?
You know, I really didn't want to care about it at first.
Why is that? Was it the lacrosse? Was it the Ipswich?
It was
it the cigars?
so many options. I don't know where Ipswich is. I'm not quite sure which one lacrosse is with the sticks.
Right.
And I don't know, it sort of seemed like it was a field of dreams gone wrong.
Yeah.
But the more details came out about the story, including the great efforts and lengths that these students went to try to adhere to the rules, what that they were accused of breaking, right? Or what's that?
Yeah, so the rules were no tobacco use, right? It's
no smoking.
No smoking.
Mm-hmm.
No smoking
That's
is
important.
the rule.
Yeah.
No smoking and no tobacco use. Both.
Right.
Okay, so continue.
So they have the appearance of smoking. They even have the adults in their lives, as far as going all the way up to the principals vouching for them, right? And still, they are not getting any kind of due process around this. It seems like, I think one kid is going to be working for his family for the rest of his life, and I'm not sure.
Okay.
For folks who are, before we get to you, Tori, for folks who are down here at the library, if you check up on the screens or if you're watching us on the stream, we're going to bring the aforementioned photo up. So these are lacrosse players' graduation photo, which they say is a tradition. Smoking, again, unclear. Maybe real cigars, maybe
men.
not real cigars.
Okay, so
go ahead, Tori.
Importantly, they said that they secured, I think they said their dad rolled something into a fake cigar. They bought it it was a prop cigar.
This is what they claim, yes.
And I think it's fascinating because when I was in high school, the deal was, don't be photographed, don't post on Facebook holding a red Solo cup. And it had never occurred to us at the time to simply say, there's not alcohol in there. You're wrong. What are you talking about? What do you mean I'm going to lose my scholarship?
Juice.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started thinking their argument is so interesting to me as their attorney. I think, we have to continue this argument of the Rene Magritte treachery of images. The painting of the pipe, ce n'est pas un pipe. Yeah, it's a picture of a pipe, but it's not a pipe.
Right.
So their argument, ultimately, is that they were not smoking real cigars. It's a photograph of them smoking what look like real cigars, which violates not only school policy but state law. And I think in Ipswich it's illegal to smoke
anything
herbal cigarettes if you're not 21. So, I don't know. There's something about this group of young lacrosse players facing consequences for their actions that I don't necessarily have a problem with.
Wait, but is it not tragic on some level that the crime that they're going down for is so passe? Like, it's not even kind of a cool, like nobody.
They thought they could find a loophole.
You have to tell your grandkids about the time that you missed the big game of your high school career.
Yeah.
And it's not even going to be like.
Okay, I have
a
these
cool
candy
thing.
cigarettes, right?
Where did you even?
And if I lit one, it would. They said it tasted bad. These cigarettes that they had. I have these I'm smoking now.
This is an FCC violation, is it?
I feel like you're making a point, but I'm not 100% sure what
I'm
the
not
point
either. I've
is,
been awake
Tori.
since really early in the morning. No, but I'm saying, here I am smoking cigarettes, right? And
Yeah.
I love my delicious tobacco cigarette. Delish, so good. Sorry for blowing all this smoke in your face.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I did not sign up for this. Is there a waiver?
We're gonna move.
You know what? I'm not actually smoking. This is a visual representation of me smoking. Are we even really here?
Okay.
Is this even really happening?
At this point, I have no idea. We're going to have a mentalist on the show later. Maybe he can help us unpack whatever is happening here right now. We're going to move on to another story. This one, I think, is one that a fair number of folks might have missed. But right now, we don't have confirmation on exactly where, but there is a Scottish soccer superfan. Craig Ferguson is his name, and he has spent the last number of weeks literally walking across America.
He walked 500 miles, and then he walked 500
There you
more.
go. Thank you for that. Yes, we really appreciate that. So he's in a kilt. He's doing that. One thing that's, I think, cool about this story is he's raising money along the way, and he's raising money for a mental health charity back in Scotland, which is excellent. But he's been walking from L.A. to Boston.
Big lives save lives.
There you go. He arrived in Providence recently. He's on his way to Boston right now. Estimates are that he's going to arrive on Boston Common around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So and I'm hoping he's going to walk behind us here right now. But what do we make of this Scottish superfan walking across America right now?
I don't know. Apologies to the gentleman in kilt who I thought were the Scottish guy.
That's so excited. You're like, it must be him.
We have two strapping young lads in kilts here at the library for folks who can't see.
I could ask them this question because I had reached out to him via his public Instagram comments and did not receive a response. But I'm very curious if he went native style.
And can you describe what you mean by native style?
Many in Scottish tradition will, while wearing a kilt, go au naturel.
I see.
And so I'm concerned about the chafing situation.
Over these many long
miles in the hot days.
Well, I figure, in Scotland, or weren't they wearing kilts up in the Highlands? I mean, that's rocky territory. They're walking around.
Yeah, it's walking in our tar-filled streets, though. I don't think it's going to be quite the spa experience.
I'm worried about him. But yeah, I do also want to mention Mark Balmer, who is a man from Providence who walked across the country. He was trying to walk across the country barefoot in 2017, and we had actually messaged a little bit. He was coming from Providence, and then it can be really dangerous. He was taking all the precautions, but he sadly passed away the time he got to Florida. So I thought about him too. Just wanted to give him a shout out, and I think it's really, I don't think we realize how significant this is of a journey to come from Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's epic.
I think Forrest Gump kind of made it just like, it doesn't everyone do that? You know? At some point, it's
did
a grand gesture.
Did you watch Forrest Gump and be like, oh yeah, that's relatable?
It was one of my formative first movies I ever saw, and that's all I know about the world.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right. You're listening to The Curiosity Desk. We're talking with Tori Bedford and CC Paschal. This is, in case you missed it, our little menagerie of misfit news. Well, a headline in The Guardian this week that folks might have missed. I'm just going to read it because it's a great headline. Demonized, called hysterical, the rise of witchcraft retreats where U.S. women go to defy man and church. Tell us about what's happening at these witchcraft retreats.
Are you trying to insinuate something?
Yeah, you want to make a mockery?
I'm just reading
there's some
the
women.
headline.
They just want to get together, express female
Must be
rage,
hysteria.
gather in sisterhood. You want to make a joke out of this, Edgar? You
I don't think
this is
it's-
funny? Wow.
No, but in all
Wow.
seriousness, this isn't really news. It's one of those stories that is like
Trend
repackaged
story.
with a new hook on top, because for the last couple of years, I want to say since at least 2019, the New York Times has been running an occasional feature piece on how the witches are back. The witches are selling us stuff. The witches are cool now. There's every so often there's a new witch story.
Yeah, meanwhile, we can just have public radio shows where male magicians and mentalists are featured once a week, and nobody says anything about that.
Yeah, because the kind of stuff that they're doing is showing. The kind of witchcraft that we're talking about in this article is like somatic therapy. It's like a EMDR, but
it's
like
a really
in the woods.
expensive retreat.
Super expensive.
Tickets are like $3,000.
Yeah.
And I need to know more about this. Like, are we including our trans and non-binary sisters in this? I don't know.
I think that it depends on who's hosting it, right? Like everyone, but I would hope so. Like I assume that any space that is open to women is open to all women.
TBD.
By making it expensive and calling it a retreat, does it sort of shoot itself in the foot in your estimation to a certain extent? Or can you have a valid something like this where it is expensive, it is a retreat, but still at its core be valuable?
People are paying for it, so there you go.
But unlike something like a retreat with a mental health specialist, like you don't exactly know what you're getting. It's really about the relationship and the connections. But I don't think that it's necessarily ethical to, sell this as a cure-all. And I think they're also drawing some criticism because it's like, oh, you're selling anything related to spirituality
and women
and women.
Yeah.
But this seems like a step close to like a mega church kind of like how does something like this scale up? So
maybe go to therapy.
Yeah, and as much as I would love to eschew the men and go for the bears, and just run into the woods. I mean, what are you doing this weekend, Tori?
Yeah, come to my book club. This is what we just rage, scream, and do somatic therapy. Tickets are $3,000 a pop. So
This is the Curiosity Desk. We're talking with Tori Bedford and CC Paschal. This is in case you missed it. Well, we're going to turn our attention up to the Quebec-Vermont border. And this is a story that we've been on here on the Curiosity Desk in the past. So there's a border town. It's Stansted, Quebec, and Derby Line, Vermont. And on this border, there is a library that has been on the border for 100 years. I think it's 100 years plus. And over the last year or so, the way it used to work was there was one main entrance to this library, happened to be on the United States side. But if you were from Canada, you were able to just walk down a little sidewalk and come in that main entrance. And it was a show of friendship and support and, community between these sort of two countries. Well,
build the wall.
Yeah, exactly. So months back, there was a policy.
I'm Jared Bowen. Today on The Culture Show, the call is coming from inside the Alamo Drafthouse. The theater chain famous for banning phones is now telling moviegoers to turn them on, to order their food. Plus, beef prices are smoking barbecue culture, from brisket joints to fast food menus. And in Barcelona, Sagrada Familia reaches a towering milestone, 144 years in the making. That and more on The Culture Show's Week in Review, today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And Innuendo in Natick, presenting Hunter Douglas Duet Architella PowerView shades for your home and office. Hunter Douglas PowerView automation, measured and installed by their technicians at Innuendo and innuendo.com. And the Museum of Science. From live science demonstrations to hands-on exhibits, families can explore the wonders of Earth's evolution and the frontiers of space this summer. Learn more at mos.org.
Be immersed.
Some Salvadorian rum, some horchata.
Listen to be transported.
After a 3-hour flight, you land in Guantanamo.
Flight attendants prepare for arrival.
Listen to get perspective.
And if that's what mattered, what didn't matter? What was just noise?
Listen to All Things Considered from NPR News.
This afternoon at 4 on GBH 89.7.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. The team is out celebrating Memorial Day. We can't wait to be back on the air live with you tomorrow. In the meantime, we're revisiting a few of our favorite segments from the past 3 months. That includes this secret ingredient segment with James Beard award-winning chef Irene Lee, who joined us alongside Lawrence Louie from Rubato in Quincy. And yes, that is the same Lawrence Louie who's been killing it on this latest season of Top Chef. The particular ingredient this time around, the oft overlooked, some say unfairly maligned, Spam. Of course, if you were watching a lot of TV ads in the 80s, you'll know just how versatile Spam can be.
If you think Spam is just a sandwich meat, you're wrong. This special blend of pork shoulder with ham is also a great breakfast meat, and a great salad meat, a great casserole meat, a great pizza meat, and, of course, a great sandwich meat, too. Spam. It's a lot of meats, but not a lot of money.
That is a really
I don't think there's anything else to say.
That's
That really
wow.
covers it.
And thank you for that's it for the Curiosity
Yes.
Desk. Thanks for being here. No, Irene, Lawrence, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so everybody knows what Spam is, but maybe they don't know what Spam is, which is to say they, like let's get inside the can a little bit. Like what is Spam?
Should we crack one open?
Yeah, let's start by cracking one open.
Okay.
And let's get it by the microphone,
I'll crack
please.
this
I
open
wanna
into
hear
the
it.
mic, and Lawrence, talk about Spam.
Spam is one of the best things in the world. It is a canned meat, pork that, I think it's a post-World War II or World War II creation, I think popularized post-World War II. And I think for me personally, it's something that, has always been around and I grew up on, and really something that, I never really you don't really think twice about it, but I think it's always been there. It's a salty meat that is, similar to the likes of bacon, ham, I don't know, more regionally specific. Well, I was just down south in the Carolinas, so liver mush. Salty meats all around the world.
Yeah.
I think Spam is probably amongst the best of them.
To me, it's just like the lowbrow canned version of charcuterie that, has seen a rise in popularity. So I love the kind of like highbrow, lowbrow element of it. And you're even seeing more of it on like fine dining menus. And it's just another pate, really.
So you talk about it always being there for you, Lawrence. Can you talk about just how did you use it? How was it around in your life when you were younger?
Yeah, so I grew up Cantonese American. Spam was always, I think, a popular kind of Hong Kong style type of food. And so, I think in Hong Kong, it became popular because it was access to Western food at a cheap price.
Yeah.
And where, normally I think you see kind of these British and American influences as fine dining and inaccessible for the working class Chinese. Spam was one of those things that was just it was everywhere. And so, you found it in these things called ta tan tangs, which are Hong Kong cafes that do breakfast, lunch mostly. But we used to eat that on everything. My mom, she was a full-time teacher. Both my parents were full-time teachers. And when she didn't have time, it was
and also a rock star. We'll get into that.
And a rock star.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full-time teacher and rock star and Spam lover. This is a cool mom.
Yeah, very cool mom.
Go
Much
ahead.
cooler than me. But yeah, we would have it for dinner. It was rice, Campbell beans out of the can, and Spam on a pan fried in a pan. And it was just one of the best things ever. And we'd do that in, that form. We would do sandwiches. After school, instant noodles, one of the first things I ever cooked on my own. And it was always with Spam and eggs. So, it's always been around.
How about, did you eat Spam growing up, Irene?
I had a little bit of Spam growing up. Certainly a lot of instant noodles growing up. And I think that for so many of us who work in food professionally now, we do have these foods that were maybe convenience foods or even kind of struggle foods. And we might have a love-hate relationship with them. There's a comfort to it if they are the foods we grew up with. And then there's also sometimes controversy or complexity under that. And I think that's what Lawrence captures so well in this dish that's on the menu at Rubato, the Spam bolo bao. And my husband and I are both obsessed with this dish. So we're really excited to have it for you to try.
When you say complexity, the complexity of of this particular food item, what are you referring to?
Well, I think there's definitely a history around the industrialization of food, around war and colonialism. I don't know if it's good. No one would say it's not an ultra-processed food,
Sure.
I think.
Sure.
You probably wouldn't want to eat it every day, but it does have that kind of level of comfort. It carries that identity with it. I love traveling to Hawaii, which is like Asian American Wakanda, and you can get Spam anywhere in Hawaii. It's
but there's
on
a
the menu everywhere.
a lot of it's one of these things, right? And as the guy behind the Curiosity Desk, people always be, like Spam's huge in Hawaii, and I'm like, sure, but there's more to the story. Then there's like a reason why.
Yeah, so part of why Spam really took off in Hawaii, it's a shelf-stable meat, so it can survive those tropical temperatures. But also around the time of Japanese internment during World War II. There were a lot of sanctions and restrictions placed on the Japanese and Japanese Americans living in Hawaii. So deep sea fishing was heavily sanctioned and limited. And so for proteins, a lot of Hawaiians came to rely on the processed foods that were kind of getting pumped out of mainland America.
All right, you are listening to the Curiosity Desk. We are talking with chefs Irene Lee and Lawrence Louis from Rubato about Spam. All right, let's talk. Let's get into how we might use Spam. Now, one of the things people talk about is the I guess it's the gelatin or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Now, my understanding is fairly recently, sometime in the 2000s, there was maybe an additional ingredient put into the Spam that has mitigated some of that gelatin, but it's still there, right? Like that's like the first thing I think people are like, how do I deal with the gelatin?
It's funny. I never, we cook a lot of Spam at the restaurant, and obviously we open a lot of cans of Spam. And there has been less gelatin than I remember.
Yeah, I think it's
As a
potato starch.
Yeah, I think they've added potato starch, which is supposed to sop up some of the gelatin. So, I mean,
innovation.
I didn't mind the gelatin. I mean, I didn't eat it. Like, it wasn't like, it was always just a part of the experience.
Yeah.
It was always kind of like it was just part of that opening up a can of Spam. There's always that gelatin, but that's interesting.
Yeah. And, for me, cooking Spam at home, it's always about the Spam fried rice or the Spam and eggs. Anywhere where you would put bacon or ham, really, I think it does well. And, Lawrence, do you want to tell us what you do with it at Rubato?
Yeah, let's get into what happens at Rubato, Lawrence.
Yeah, so, I think really the menu at Rubato is inspired by kind of my upbringing as a Cantonese American kid turned chef. And so, we have a section of the menu that is called bola bao, which is this kind of traditional Cantonese baked good. And so it's, and with Western influence, so it's almost like a brioche kind of buttery baked bao. On top, you have like a cookie crust. And so there's this kind of sweet but not too sweet kind of thing. And then I think when you put in the Spam, we do it with a piece of fried Spam, steamed egg, and a Kraft single. And the Kraft single is almost like the not so secret ingredient, but very key to this as
why. So why the Kraft single, right? You could go with any kind of cheese here, but you're making a statement in some way here.
Yeah, I mean this is Chinese American in a box to me. Like this is like you have the bola bao, which is a very specific cultural reference. Spam, which is almost like everyone kind of knows what it is. Everyone has some sort of core memory with it, I feel like. And then I think for me it was about making a breakfast sandwich out of it. And the steamed egg is a very classic way, Cantonese way of preparing egg. It's a lot lighter, it's fluffier, it's less greasy. And I think the contrast to the Spam, the Kraft single in particular is like anytime you have a breakfast sandwich, right?
That's what it's got to be.
That's what it is.
It
right?
just
like
has
that's,
to be.
That's that taste. That's a breakfast sandwich taste.
It's the taste. It's the texture. I mean, it's even the color. Like can't beat that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this looks amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite of this.
Please
thing.
do.
This is intense.
Yeah, and the idea is balance. Like we want the balance of the savory, the sweet, the saltiness, all that to kind of come together.
And I'm getting all of that. Oh, that's good. But the Spam is featured. Like it is like that is no doubt, and it's delicious. And you're right, against the sweetness of the bun and the saltiness of the ham is just like right? That's what it's doing in my mouth. It feels like it's just kind of like little sparks going on.
Yeah, this is a habit-forming sandwich.
All right, a couple things. We got a YouTube comment from John Hogan who says they have a special Spam-A-Lot edition of Spam signed by Michael Palin. Last winter that can start to bulge, so I cut off the label to save it and threw out the can. So didn't open the can, cut off the label, but has a Spam-A-Lot edition of Spam. Speaking of that, let's hear a little from Monty Python.
Don't make a fuss, dear. I'll have your Spam. I love it. I'm having Spam, 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 baked beans, Spam, Spam, and Spam.
That's the Rubato theme song, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put that up against. We also have a YouTube poll up right now, and 71% of people say they are not sold on spam. So let's talk about why. So despite all of what we're talking about here, I think to a certain extent, spam is still much maligned or given quite a wide berth by people. Why do we think that is?
I mean, it's gross.
But
gross,
is it any grosser than any other ingredient?
Well,
you know what I mean? When you talk about
exactly.
any meat ingredient, it's kind of like, I mean, hamburger is gross, you know?
Totally. I mean, I think it's the idea that it's out of a can. I think the sound that it makes when it comes out of the can, the texture. I was telling Irene the other day, like it's interesting when I'm training chefs to cut for this dish. Cutting spam is actually kind of difficult because it's not like any other texture. When you're cutting meat, when you're cutting vegetables, there's a certain texture that everything has naturally. Spam is very unnatural in that way, but I'd say there's, I think there is something to say about this kind of cultural connection that it has and where it starts as this kind of like easy access, quick food, salty, delicious, whatever. It's, I think in the same way, it's not any worse than, any of these other products, bacon or anything like that. And so I think for me, it's more about like culturally, like what does that tie you to? And I have no loyalty to Hormel or like, like that. But I think it's important in those ways. And I think that's something to highlight.
Yeah, and I would say if you're not sold on spam, that's okay, and we understand. And
So
Rubato is a great place
There you go. Yeah.
to go experience spam in this way that is very thoughtful. It's fried to a beautiful, almost like caramelized crisp. You can also, grab a spam musubi, which is like a rice, almost like a rice ball. You can go to Manoa Poke for that. So if you're not sold on cracking it out of the can and wiping off all the gel, visit one of the restaurants and they'll fix you right up.
All right, so poll update now from the producers here. The numbers are getting closer. 41% of people are saying they love spam. 50% are not. So we're normalizing here. So we have mentioned a couple times Rubato as a Hong Kong cafe. What is that? What does that mean? What?
Yeah, I mean, my mom is from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I grew up Cantonese American, and really, like, as a chef, the Rubato's my first restaurant. I hope to have more, but, I think really what it was about was cooking something that spoke to my experience as a person and as a chef. And so I think opening this restaurant, like, there was a lot of amalgamation of, like, Chinese and American, naturally. And I think as we were kind of creating the menu, the Hong Kong idea really came up. Like, it kind of came to fruition on its own, really, and being like, oh, actually, this is a lot of just, like, Hong Kong-inspired food because of the history of, British colonialism, American presence, all that in Hong Kong. There's almost this natural cuisine that came out of that, and I think that was something that, I think just spoke to me. And so I think Rubato is really trying to highlight that and trying to bring that out.
Now, Lawrence, you have a pretty interesting backstory with how you got from I'm not a chef to now I am chef owner of a restaurant. Can you just tell us about that journey a little bit? Because I find it to be very interesting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, food's always been present in my life. I got my master's in American Studies, hoping to be a professor. To me, academia was not the path, and then became a community organizer. Worked in Boston Chinatown for a while, organizing high school age youth, and then essentially took a year off, went to China, studied Mandarin, played basketball, hand-pulled noodles.
Professionally played basketball, or just like for fun played basketball?
Yes. No. Not professionally. I wasn't that good. But thank you for.
Wow,
thank you for asking.
Yeah,
thank you for not assuming. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
And then I came back and I think I felt like all these kind of experiences, being connected to the community, wanting to bring people together, all that. Food was often at the center of it, and so I wanted to kind of be a part of creating that, and I think really working with my hands, and so got a job at Oleana here in Cambridge, and never looked back from there, and moved to London, worked for 10 years as a chef, and then came back to take over my mom's bakery in Quincy that she had operated for 22 years before I took over.
Wow.
Let's talk about that bakery, though.
Yeah, can we talk? Yeah, let's talk about the bakery.
Yeah. Bakery was called Contempo, named after a rock band that my mom started. So she, came from Hong Kong, just wanted to learn music, taught herself like piano, drums, guitar, bass, and started a band to do like canto pop, essentially like 90s canto rock music.
So sick.
That's amazing. So just covering like canto pop and
and essentially they were practicing in Chinatown and got gentrified out of that space.
Yeah.
You know, rent was too expensive, and Quincy at that time, this was the year 2000, was this kind of like just on the cusp of becoming like the biggest working class Chinese community, you know, outside of Chinatown. And so, you know, she and her lead singer / drummer, who was working at a bakery then, were like, let's start a business. The only requirement that we absolutely need is, yes, it's a bakery, but then we need space. So in the basement, there's this huge room that they use to practice.
That's so cool.
And I think the last
They still
time
practice there.
They still practice.
It's a dream. It's like bakery / rehearsal space.
Yes.
I mean, that is awesome.
And so that was kind of the vision, and it's been going on for the last 20 some years. And that was the one thing that she said when I took over. She's like, just don't kick me out of my space. I'm like, I'm not going to evict you out of your own, like.
And then the name for the business.
Yeah,
share that. I love this.
Yeah, so Contempo was, you know, that was the band that started with the band, and it was contemporary tempo. When we changed to rubato is the musical term for change of tempo.
Oh, amazing.
And so we wanted to kind of honor her legacy, and really play on that and try and,
A couple of YouTube comments here. First one here from Gwen Yi Jo. Loved Contempo. Their kanji was so good.
Oh, love that.
We also have a poll update. We're at 41% of people loving Spam, 59% not.
Oh, it's going up.
And then we've got another comment in our YouTube chat which says, Spam, eggs, and rice at my wife's Tito's house is always a highlight of visiting my Filipino in-laws.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Good way to use it. I know we've covered this a little bit, but again, if I'm feeling brave and I do want to take on some Spam, and you know, obviously it's first order of operations, go to Rubato and definitely try this sandwich, which is amazing. But then beyond that, I want to try some at home. Give me some easy entry points and some tips of how to keep my nerve as I go for it.
Yeah, I think like anything that's widely consumed, if you do it right, usually it's a lot better than you think. And so I think Spam, I would say the best way to do is pan fry. Get a pan.
Fry.
Yeah.
Did you slice it or like?
Yeah, slice it. I'd say
thin, thick.
Yeah. Quarter. What's that? Quarter to half an inch. I'd say is probably the ideal. Slice, so it doesn't dry out. Some people like it really crispy, like crispy versus not crispy bacon.
Yeah.
I think it should just have a nice sear, but kind of retain the moisture of the natural spamness of it all. But
you can also dice it for soup or fried rice.
Yeah.
I made Thanksgiving stuffing with Spam in it
Did
once.
you?
That was
that's
really
a
good.
move.
Yeah,
I love that move.
But yeah, I think it's more user friendly than you would think.
You know, before we go, we've been talking about Roberto. You talk about Quincy. Let's just talk in general. If people have not taken the time to go eat in Quincy at Rubato or otherwise, can we just talk about like what's going on in Quincy in the food scene?
Yeah, I mean Quincy's hot, and especially that block that we're on right now. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. I think, it's pretty amazing to me because it grew from this growing up in my mom's bakery. Like I saw the kind of Chinese American community growing, and now it's almost shifting, or not even shifting, but just in addition, there's this like really cool food scene that's coming up. So we're there right across the street. Peter Nguyen with La Madeleine is there. He was just nominated for James Beard Award this year doing like modern Vietnamese food. There's Nivu Bakery, and Robbie over there is doing some really cool pastries and stuff. And there's just a lot of cool things happening in Quincy. I think not only as a traditional, Chinese dining hub, but I think there's some cool things kind of popping up that, you see around, you don't see around the city.
Yeah.
That was our conversation with James Beard award-winning chef Irene Lee and Lawrence Louie from Rubato. By the way, you can catch Lawrence cooking the competition on this latest season of Top Chef. You're listening to a special best-of edition of the Curiosity Desk on this Memorial Day. Just ahead, in 2026, it ain't your grandfather's pogo stick. We meet a Guinness World Record holding pogo champ. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go anywhere.
Support for GBH comes from you
And Newport Mansions, presenting Revolution Reimagined, a new exhibit exploring Newport, Rhode Island's role in the American Revolution and how later generations reshaped the city's collective memory. Opening June 25th, newportmansions.org. And Native Plant Trust, more than 125 years of commitment to protecting New England's native plants. More information about how using natives can support pollinators at nativeplanttrust.org.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We're streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Well, we are on tape today for Memorial Day. We will be back tomorrow. And here's a little sort of behind the scenes for you. One of the rules of thumb with taped radio introductions is that you are not supposed to cut to the sound of your own voice. Supposedly it's jarring for the listener. Ideally, you cut to a clip or somebody else talking. Well, occasionally, those rules, like all rules, must be broken. And at the risk of not getting to hear Guinness champion James Roumeliotis jumping on his pogo stick behind us while we were introducing him, we're going to play this segment in its entirety. Hope you enjoy. Take it away, Edgar. Please excuse those boings in the background during this introduction. When most of us think pogo sticks, you might think of third grade PE class, maybe a scraped knee or two. What we don't typically think of is greatness. And we are right now in the presence of greatness. You are hearing greatness. In 2023, James Roumeliotis set a Guinness World Record by bouncing a grand total of 115,170 times over 11 hours on his pogo. He is with us now, as you can hear. James, welcome to the show. You can have a seat if you want, or you can, I guess because you're good enough, we could do this entire interview while you are pogoing. But I think that's probably going to be difficult. So take a break. Take a break. So how many... I have so many questions. I'm glad we have a little time here. How many pogo jumps? Is it a pogo jump? I don't even know. Is that the right term? Is it a pogo jump? Is
call
it a
them
pogo?
Jumps, bounces?
Just call them jumps or bounces?
Yeah.
How many bounces would you say you just did there? That was what? Is that
more
even
than one?
So yeah, more than one. Is
Yeah.
that even a warm up for you?
That's just bouncing around. That's just regular. Yeah,
that's
not
just
much.
like a regular bounce. All right, so let's start at the start. What was your first encounter with a pogo?
Oh,
can you remember?
That takes me back to my childhood. My brother and I were at our Papa's cottage, and we were bored out of our minds. There was nothing to do.
Yeah.
And
this is before cell phones then, I guess.
Way before.
Yeah. If you had cell phones, you would not have
we
been bored.
would not have been bored.
All kinds of stuff to do.
But what we had was a pogo stick. And my brother and I didn't know how to use it. I'd try to bounce once. I'd fall. I'd give it to him. Same thing with him. And eventually we got to the point where we could keep our balance pretty well. So I would jump for, 1,000, and we were that bored. We would count 1,000 times, and then it would be his turn, and we'd alternate. And that's where it started.
Yeah.
That's where pogoing started.
And so in those early days, were you two neck and neck, or was he even maybe a little bit better than you? Did one of you take to it a little bit better than the other?
I will concede. I think he was better than me.
Ah.
He's 2 years older, so with that, a lot of things happened. But I think where it really deviated was back in high school. I revisited pogo sticking. A lot of my high school friends would rollerblade, skateboard, do all sorts of tricks, but I didn't have the balance for it. So I was like, I remember pogo sticks. Let me try getting one of those and try doing some tricks along them.
Amazing. When did is that when you got serious about, like, I find the leap somehow somewhere along the way you go from like, oh, this kind of fun thing, hey, I'm pretty good at this, and then you sort of take this leap into a whole other world that eventually leads to you like literally setting a Guinness World Record. Was there like a single moment where, I don't know, you sort of realized there was a world of competitive pogoing, or that you realized, oh, there are records for me to achieve here? Like, how did you get like serious about it?
Yeah, I think I go back to high school with my friends, because that was around the time, this is the early 2000s. And I started looking at a website called xpogo.com.
Okay.
It started as a pogo forum. There were literally dozens of us all around the world, and all trying just different tricks, not doing much at that time. And that's where I first got into like kind of trying more complicated tricks.
And what's like a complicated pogo trick?
There's different like hand stalls. You put one foot on kind of the edge of the side of the shaft as you try to balance. It's more balance coordination. And then once they introduced more air compressed sticks where you pump them up with air like a bicycle pump, things got out of control. Way above my pay grade. People are doing backflips and everything. It's crazy.
So that's not your world. You go with the tried and true method.
Yep, I'm a traditionalist in that sense.
Interesting. So you at some point begin attempting, all kinds of records. What are some of the records that are out there that you set your sights on?
The big ones I go for are endurance.
Okay.
So most consecutive bounces, farthest distance. That's one that I had before, and I'm looking to take back this fall. And my biggest target, the great white whale of it all, is I want to do the Boston Marathon on a pogo stick.
Wait, you want to do the Boston? Okay, so you want to run? Essentially, you want to pogo the marathon. Is there any? So what's standing in your way? I mean, do you have to would you have to talk with the organizers?
That's the big one.
Yeah.
Just talking with the Boston Athletic Association.
So BAA, if you're listening, we
great.
got a guy here who is ready to pogo the entire marathon.
Yep.
And you feel like you're trained up to do that. How do you train? How do you train? Do you pogo every day, 7 days a week? How does it work? What's your regimen like?
I'm not ready yet, but I will be. And that's kind of getting into the routine. It's like training for a marathon as it is, where you kind of pace yourself week over week. You increase either the duration or the distance, and you never go the full length. You just build that system and that process. And eventually you go far enough that okay, I'm confident in the system I have, that when it comes time to do it, I can't back down. I won't back down.
So can you just walk me through logistically, how would you plan to pogo the marathon? Would you take breaks along the way?
Yeah,
Is it how would it work?
Yeah, so that's one of the few records where you do get a 5-minute break every couple hours.
Okay.
And so these pogo sticks are meant for little kids, the ones that I use. Yeah. So they will bend and break. When I did the last distance record, I went through about 9 of them. So I would probably go
went through 9 sticks.
Started bending. They're meant to go up and down, not
go forward.
And so it would start to bend over time, get harder to use. And what I would simply do is, after 3 to 5 miles, swap out a stick and go from there.
We're talking with James Remeliotis about setting a Guinness World Record in pogo. Now, I am now. You have brought in. I am holding. I just took it off the screen. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, I just moved it away. But this right here, certificate, Guinness World Record, the most consecutive jumps on a pogo stick is 115,170, which is insane, achieved by you during Pogopalooza 2023 in Boston, Massachusetts, USA, September 9th, 2023. Take us into the moment. What was it like?
I just collapsed. I was done. I really wanted to go for a lot further in 12 hours, but when I started, my foot already started hurting. I did a rookie mistake putting new shoes on, only breaking them in a week. And my heel started hurting within the first 30 minutes. But at that point, I realized I got to break this. All these people here, family, friends, support, I needed to go through with it. So once I broke the record, that was around the 88,000 mark. That's when it becomes a mental game. Because
so wait, the record, you broke the record at 88,000, but went all the way to 115,170. So you weren't just trying to break a record.
I wanted to smash it.
You were trying to smash it. That is crazy. So I mean, what do you listen to music? Or what's going through your mind? What are you doing for 11 hours?
I am singing karaoke, singing along songs, getting people's attention, just having a grand old time. We did this at the Vietnam Memorial in South Boston. We were raising money for a homeless shelter of veterans. And one of the things I just love to do is I love community, I love people, I love singing. I can't sing. It's terrible. You do not want to hear this. But that's what I basically did for nearly 12 hours.
Well, speaking of music as part of it, I believe we have a little sound. I think this is cell phone footage, and this is the sound from that cell phone footage of you beating the world record in consecutive pogo hops. Crowd's cheering you on. I think we got some Frank Sinatra going. Let's have a listen here.
I had a few, to mention. I did what I had to do.
It's just like I mean, I like that you're in rhythm. Like you're like chicka, 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 just like a shake.
What's trending? What's interesting? What's going on around town? We're talking all things arts and culture on The Culture Show, next on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Revision Energy, a renewable energy company building and servicing solar, batteries, and air source heat pumps for local homes and businesses for over 20 years. Revision Energy. Revision your power. More at revisionenergy.com. The concerts that Barbra Streisand performed in 2000 were a Broadway-style treat for all her fans. Join her as she celebrates her own eras. Watch Barbra Streisand Timeless live in concert tonight at 7:30 on GBH2.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Culture Show news desk, I'm Henry Santoro. David Hockney, the English artist known for his unique style, his bold paintings and photographs, and being an icon in the gay rights community, has died at 88. Hockney's publicist, Erica Bolton, confirmed that he died on Thursday at his home in London. No cause of death was provided. Here's David in 2020.
I have to paint. I mean, I've always wanted to paint. I've always wanted to make pictures from when I was tiny. That's my job, I think, making pictures.
And while anyone can Google him and see the incredible body of work he produced, here are some things you may not know about David Hockney without a little digging. He could see music. Hockney had a neurological trait that allowed him to see specific colors when he hears musical notes and scores, and he has famously used this to design background colors and lighting for opera and ballet stage sets. He trolled his art school. At the Royal College of Art, he refused to write the mandatory final essay, and to protest, he drew a satirical sketch of the school's diploma, and that's what he submitted. And it worked. The college changed its rules and passed him and gave him a real diploma. He famously declined knighthood. Back in 1990, Hockney was offered a knighthood but turned it down because, as he put it, he valued his friends more than prizes. He did, however, wear a pair of bright yellow Crocs to a luncheon at Buckingham Palace. And he made a massive 77-pound book called A Bigger Book. Describes it as his autobiography in pictures. It's 500 pages, and it measures 2 meters wide when open. You need a really big coffee table. The Culture Show will take a closer look at the life and death of David Hockney later this hour. That's this edition of the GBH Weekly Friday Afternoon Culture Cast. I'm Henry Santoro. Next up, The Culture Show, with my friend and yours, Jared Bowen, live at the Boston Public Library.
I'm Jared Bowen. This is The Culture Show. Coming up today, in Barcelona, they're not touching grass, they're touching God. After 144 years, Gaudi's Sagrada Familia Cathedral has reached its heavenly height, crowned by a tower dedicated to Jesus Christ. But as the basilica nears completion, earthly questions remain: tourism, housing, and how far a city should go to finish a masterpiece. From there, President Trump has left the building. No, not the White House, but the Kennedy Center. Today is the court-ordered deadline to scrub his name from the institution's signs, website, and official materials. It's the latest twist in his fight over one of the nation's premier arts institutions. Plus, where's the beef? At barbecue joints across the country, that question is getting pricier to answer. With beef costs soaring, the brisket plate profile is changing. Pitmasters are raising prices, changing menus, and rethinking a tradition built on low and slow abundance. And will Boston's cup runneth over? As the region prepares to host soccer's biggest event, Massachusetts is loosening last call, allowing some bars to serve until 3 a.m. For fans, it's extra time. For cities and towns, it's a new game plan. We take on all that and more right now on our Week in Review.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Welcome to The Culture Show, live on 89.7 and streaming on our GBH News YouTube channel. I'm Jared Bowen.
I'm Callie Crossley.
And in a moment, we'll be joined by James Sullivan, journalist and author and Emerson College professor. We had some technical difficulties, so we have left the library studio. We are not there today. We're back in our Brighton studios, and James got a little stuck in traffic, so he'll be joining us momentarily. But we're going over the latest arts and culture headlines in our Week in Review, starting with a milestone 144 years in the making. In Barcelona, Pope Leo has blessed the newly completed central tower of architect Antoni Gaudi's landmark Basilica Sagrada Familia. The tower is dedicated to Jesus Christ, is the crowning expression of the designer's vision, and makes the architectural marvel the tallest church in the world. A staggering feat for a project still being built nearly a century after Gaudi's death. Well, this is a remarkable piece of art in so many regards. Anybody who has been there, I believe we both have been there to Barcelona. We've seen it for ourselves. We've seen the exterior. We have seen the gorgeous interior, which is basically Gaudi saying that he wanted to create the Bible in stone in this structure. The reason we're talking about this is because the Pope was just there. It has been blessed. This is the 100th anniversary of Gaudi's premature death in an accident. And so people are looking at this long-term vision that has been carried out by successive generations of artists and construction people so that we can relish what he's left. There are some nuances, as we'll talk about in Barcelona, but this is how we're starting the show, and I will add that James Sullivan has just joined us just in time for this conversation as we talk about Barcelona.
So when we talked about having gone there before, I mentioned that I almost didn't go because I was like, it's so touristy. Everybody talks about it. I'm not going. And then I said, oh, well, I'm here. I guess I should, grudgingly. So I go over there, and I am struck speechless. I mean, it is something to see. If you are a person of faith, as I am, you really feel the sense of this could only be made by the hands of somebody who has some divine inspiration and is touched by a higher power. On top of that, it's just magnificent. The detail, the carving, everybody, we all just go, oh my God, just looking at it. And to see that they have finally put this, not finally, because they told us at the time, this thing is never going to be finished. No. It's been going on and on forever. But they put another tower on, so now it's even higher than it was. To add to the already magnificent piece is mind-blowing, James.
So I got to go just this past spring because my son was studying in Barcelona. And I felt the same way that you did, Callie, but we figured we should go. And I don't think he had actually stopped by, but it is magnificent, obviously, and the pictures don't do it justice. And so I made a point of going by Park Güell, which is up on a big hill, which is this amazing city park that he designed, that Gaudi designed. I became a little bit obsessed. Went by Casa Batlló, which is like this insane, like surreal-looking building right in the middle of Barcelona, in a very sort of otherwise staid-looking but very grand-looking Barcelona Boulevard. Really impressive and an amazing thing to see.
Well, I think it's also the story behind this. So for people who don't know the story, Gaudi had this vision. He wanted to create this. He laid out all the plans. There were dioramas. It was all laid out. Then he was struck by a trolley car, and he died several days later. Then the Spanish Civil War happened, and a lot of his vision literally went up in flames. It was destroyed intentionally. But he had his own disciples who carried his vision forward because he had shared his hopes and dreams for what this would become with them. So this is this amazing collaborative effort that has played out over 100 years since his death. And there was a time, especially during COVID, when things slowed. Over the past decades, things slowed. Then they lurched back forward. It has added to Barcelona's tourism, quote-unquote, problem. As the people of Barcelona say, stop coming, tourists. We're through with you. The cathedral itself, the basilica itself, now draws about 5 million visitors a year. But it's just a staggering story. And I'm the only one of the three who hasn't chimed in. But yes, you're completely awestruck by the true essence of the word, the awesomeness of this cathedral and how it is his homage not only to religion and faith, but also to nature. This is in the Art Nouveau style, and we see these massive supports that he has adorned as trees, but it's actually an inventive way of creating this canopy that don't require flying buttresses, as you might see in Notre Dame, for example. And the way the light streams through, it is an experience.
And those little vignettes tucked in all the way. I mean, it's just, I keep thinking about, what was he thinking as he was doing this? How was he driven? Was it morning, noon, and night, or certain times a day? I mean, it makes you want to know more.
The term visionary gets thrown around pretty loosely, but this guy had to have been one. Obviously, you can see it in the work.
And for his, as we say, his students as well. Well, we move from Barcelona to the Beltway now, where President Trump's name is likely coming down from the Kennedy Center. A federal judge ruled that the president adding his name to the Performing Arts Building was illegal and ordered that Trump's name be removed by today from all signs, websites, and official materials. So we have been covering the saga of the Kennedy Center in and out as the Trump administration and the president himself basically took over the Performing Arts Center, named himself chairman of the board, appointed his own people, flooded it with money that he said was going to be used for rebuilding the center, and of course added his name to the center and changed it in his own words. A judge just recently ruled that no, you can't do that. It takes actually an act of Congress because it was built as a monument to John F. Kennedy. That is why it's called the Kennedy Center. As we came on the air, we saw the scaffolding up. Workers are up there. They haven't taken one letter down yet as of just about 3 minutes ago, but they were in place to do that. The only reason they may not be doing that is because there was an appeal filed late yesterday by the Trump administration. But this is a massive pushback, and it will change how the center moves and operates going forward because, at least originally, until this appeal yesterday, the president suggested he was walking away from all of this, and this was somebody else's problem now.
Well, part of the problem with his walking away is that all the people in charge now are those that he put in place. So even the name change came about because, as he said, I think facetiously, well, I didn't want my name up there, but they insisted, all the people that he put in place, to make that decision. So, think about it as you will. So I'm not, there was likely to be a struggle within anyway. I think it's also important to note that part of the order from the judge is that every other thing inside the Kennedy Center should have his name off of it. So that's all stationery, all email, all anything that had a reference to him should be gone by the end of today, according to the judge's court order.
Are there other cameras trained on the, the emails and the?
I don't know. By the way, we should say that camera that's trained on it is called by a group called Hands Off the Arts, and they've been doing a lot of protesting about the Trump takeover, if you will, and so they wanted something for all of us to witness the name coming off.
Well, what's also, before we get to you, James, what's interesting about that, too, is the camera is mounted on the Watergate complex, aimed at the Kennedy Center, so do with that what you will.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the next bit on that? Because I'd love to get into
we'll get to the Mark Twain Prize in just a moment, but this also
Mm-hmm.
suggests what is going to happen with the Kennedy Center going forward, because the president had said he was going to close it down for 2 years, take it down to the steel. Well, what does that mean? You've seen an opera company leave, the symphony orchestra not know how to program going forward. Ticket sales were already declining. Ticket revenue had certainly declined. They weren't able to program, so there isn't really a calendar built out for the performing arts at the center going forward. So the question what remains, what will happen with this building? Who will be in charge? The president suggested it's Congress. That's not really their job. Callie, as you say, he's got a bunch of board-appointed members. So there are huge questions going forward about what is really the symbol of the performing arts in this country, in this venue, because it's in Washington, D.C., and for what it represents.
Well, that's the whole issue, is that what do you do with these people who are appointed by him who've been told to do something opposite of what they were told by the president to do? So do they just sit there? Do they walk away? What happens? And I think you were kind in your description of declined. I think drop precipitously would be the better way to talk about, the kind of losses they have sustained by the remaining performers. And by that, I mean, so many of the performers said, I'm not performing here under these circumstances. one of the guys that was scheduled to do a concert in December sued, and they tried to sue him, and he won.
He just won his case.
Yeah, just won his
Red,
case,
right.
saying, "Look, I'm not doing this."
Well, and the last suit just developed today, and that was the Washington National Opera, which is suing to collect $17 million that the Kennedy Center is holding on to. This is what the opera claims is their endowment and other assets, and they claim that they have an email that says the Kennedy Center said they were holding this money as collateral for a credit line. So it's just so much of this gets buried, and then now taking money from other arts organizations as these accusations fly. But if there are developments about the denaming of the Kennedy Center, we will keep you apprised during this broadcast. But James, as you suggested, also in the offing is the Mark Twain Prize, which always happens there. This year it's going to Bill Maher.
Right. Kelly and I started talking about this yesterday. I'm wondering at what point the Twain Prize is going to. Maybe they should put it on pause at some point, because, like, are they running out of worthy candidates? I mean, Bill Maher was. I wrote a book about George Carlin, so this is a subject that I enjoy a lot. Bill Maher was, I thought, a worthy voice on HBO 20 years ago, but he sort of outstayed his welcome and then some. He's just kind of an abrasive character, and I do feel like the Twain Prize awardees, they're kind of getting to the bottom of the barrel a little bit with him. And it'll be intriguing to see. The guest list has been announced. That's an interesting group of folks, including John Mellencamp, which is interesting, but he's a big free speech advocate. So, we'll see how it goes. But the Conan, as you mentioned last night, or yesterday, the Conan show was actually really good last year, and a lot of perceptive comments were made, both about Conan's worth getting the Twain Award, but also about the Kennedy Center and the status of it.
Well, he was so rich in mining Mark Twain himself in those comments in addressing this era.
And I'm not expecting that from Bill Maher in his whatever. I mean, I'm with Wanda Sykes, who made a joke about him at the Golden Globes that he did not appreciate, and followed up with her to say he did not appreciate it. But her joke was, Bill Maher, you've said a lot, say less. He didn't appreciate that. So that's sort of the atmosphere around him now. He went to Mar-a-Lago, had dinner with Trump that was supposed to smooth over something or make it easier for him to sort of do his shtick against MAGA as he wanted to and against liberals. But as I understand now, President Trump is not fond of him either. So he's kind of in a no man's land, despite the fact that he's at, thus far, Trump's hand-picked facility, unless after it's changed today, we'll see what happens. But that'll be very interesting in this moment as the environment is changing there. I don't know. And the tickets are really expensive, people. So who's going to pay for this? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Well, it'll happen on June 28th. It'll be broadcast later on Netflix, and Louis C.K. is joining. People question that because he's coming back from cancellation. Jay Leno is joining Whitney Cummings. And then, as you were saying, James, it's a lot of people not associated with comedy, which is not usually the makeup of this prize. Usually you have this amazing roster of comedians who are A-listers who are there to celebrate essentially lifetime achievement in recognizing somebody who has the comedic DNA of Mark Twain himself. So we'll have to watch for that. Well, coming up, how beef prices are messing with Texas barbecue. The Smokehouse Squeeze is next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Listen to be immersed.
Some Salvadorian rum, some horchata.
Listen to be transported.
After a 3-hour flight, you land in Guantanamo.
Flight attendants prepare for arrival.
Listen to get perspective.
And if that's what mattered, what didn't matter? What was just noise?
Listen to All Things Considered from NPR News.
This afternoon at 4 on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you
And Cambridge Trust, a division of Eastern Bank, offering business and personal wealth management and private banking services, investing more than $240 million in local communities since 1994. More at cambridgetrust.com. And Maine Maritime Museum. Their new exhibit, Resounding, highlights the resilience and traditions of Maine's Indigenous and Black maritime communities, featuring both historic artifacts and contemporary art. MaineMaritimeMuseum.org. And Innuendo in Natick, presenting Hunter Douglas Duet Architella PowerView shades for your home and office. Hunter Douglas PowerView automation, measured and installed by their technicians at Innuendo and Innuendo.com.
The GBH News app is where you want to start your day. It has the news you need, big stories, curated local coverage, no filler. Download it today on the App Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to The Culture Show. I'm Jared Bowen, live on 89.7 and streaming on our GBH News YouTube channel. We're coming to you from our Brighton studios today. We had some technical difficulties, so we are not at our studio at the Boston Public Library. I'm joined by Culture Show co-host Callie Crossley and Culture Show contributor James Sullivan, a journalist, author, specializing in popular culture and Americana. He's also on the faculty of Emerson College. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review, which includes barbecue culture at a breaking point. In the Lone Star State, brisket is still the star, but rising beef prices are forcing smokehouses to raise prices, rethink menus, and wonder how much longer they can keep the pits going. If you want to have a sense of how this is affecting people, longtime pitmaster Russell Ragels, the owner of Ragels Barbecue Company in Houston, has been in the barbecue business for more than 30 years and told ABC News that the price uncertainty is a daily concern for him.
Well, I mean, the biggest concern for us in the barbecue industry is how high is it going to go? My total food costs, say if I spend $100,000 a month on groceries to bring in here, $45,000 of that is brisket alone. It's a fear for me on a daily basis. We want them to eat pork. We want them to eat chicken. We want them to eat turkey. But brisket is Texas barbecue. That's just what defines Texas barbecue.
Did he just say turkey, Callie?
Yes, he did, and I was appalled when I heard this. Oh, my God. From those of us from legacy cities, I'm from Memphis, and Texas is synonymous with brisket. You can get brisket in other places, even in Memphis, but that is not our specialty. But in Texas, this is part of the culture. So not to be able to eat brisket is like, draining blood out of your arm. This is horrible. And it's really frightening because a lot of barbecue places have actually shut down. The others of them are struggling like this guy is, wondering how long they can go. And the reason is, of course, the beef prices are through the roof. And if you have really never had, well, you probably never had good barbecue, period, but you never had barbecue correctly, brisket correctly made unless you've had it in Texas. That's how much a part of the culture it is.
Yeah, you've eaten at a Meat and Three, I assume, right?
Honey,
of course
I'm from Memphis.
Yes.
Meat and Three is, what I was born with.
Yeah. But so what happens if you order turkey tips at a Meat and Three? They don't even have it.
I mean, it's just horrifying. It's what it is.
So I find it fascinating that the phrase used was breaking point, because I think we know that the folks who are trying to decide where they stand in the culture right now, obviously you don't mess with Texas's barbecue. And, gas prices are, people are saying, well, I'm fine with all of this, but now you're affecting me and my bottom line and my day to day. Gas prices are going through the roof. Maybe I need to rethink where I'm at politically, and I'm wondering if this, the rising costs of beef is going to cause some other folks to rethink what they're doing.
Well, I wonder if when you think of yourself as a place where brisket is king, and this is so much a part of your culture, who are you if it goes away? I mean, that's a real question.
Well, the thing I was thinking about as I was considering all of this is, it's not often we go back to something. So this is the problem, because a lot of the barbecue joint owners have talked about the fact that, yes, the prices are up, and they're up 12% over year, 235% in the last 6 years. So what do they see? They see themselves having to charge more. It can be $70 to $100 for the entire barbecue dinner that people are ordering when you add everything up, which means that people are not driving there as often and they're not ordering as often. Some places have already closed. And if people get in the habit of not going, it's not often they come back. We see that happening in the theater right now ever since COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, one of the most heartbreaking quotes I saw in a piece was the proprietor saying, in the past, people would come in and just buy a plate, with the brisket and other sides and everything. And now what people are doing, if they come, because a lot of people have cut it out, is they'll buy what they would have bought individual plates for themselves. They now buy one and split it. And so the next step, of course, is just not come.
Or go to McDonald's or something, because McDonald's, I bring this up just because I knew it was going to rile Kelly, because McDonald's has talked about they can emphasize chicken and other menu items. Well, you can't do that with brisket.
No, you cannot. Not with Texas brisket, anyway.
I feel like there's been a bigger number of barbecue restaurants opening locally recently. I feel like, I live on the North Shore.
I'm sorry, James. There are restaurants opening claiming to barbecue.
Yes, I understand.
Let me educate you later.
Like Route 1 and on the North Shore?
I don't care where it is. I'm from Memphis. Stop talking. No.
Kelly,
No.
I just have two syllables for you.
What?
McRib.
No. No, you're stabbing me in the heart.
We can get barbecue wherever we want.
No, you cannot.
Even right here in the Boston area.
Oh, my God.
Well, we'll move on from this before James and I get banished from the studio. Next, we have a new battle at the Alamo. That's the Alamo Draft House. The theater chain famous for banning phones is now asking moviegoers to use them for menu orders. It abandoned its hallmark paper and pencil system and is requiring patrons to order using their phones, a move that has some loyal fans wondering whether dinner and a movie just became more distracting. Here's what Alamo Draft House superfan Twitch Collins had to say about the change to cell phone ordering on Rocky Mountain PBS earlier this year.
The Alamo means the world to me as a moviegoer. Conservative underestimate of the amount of films that I've seen at the Alamo is probably between 600 to even 1,000. I would order the exact same thing every single time I attend. The staff would come up, we'd talk for a few seconds or a few minutes, and we'd just geek out over movies. I know for a fact now that the way that the system works is that it's much slower. So you do lose the interpersonal connection between you and the servers that are in there because they're no longer there. And then it takes at least twice the time for your food to get there, and sometimes that order comes in incorrectly.
So we're talking about this because we do have an Alamo Draft House here in the Seaport. I'm going to go last on this one because I have some thoughts. Kelly, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that there are 10,000 signatures already, more than 10,000, asking them to go back to the former policy. And it wasn't just that, they used to do it this way and now they do it a new way. If you tried to use your phone in the past, they would kick you out. I mean, this is how strong and embedded their former policy was. So this is not a small thing. And I wonder, in this situation, would it have been better for them to say, we're going to have to cut something. We're at a place where we're being squeezed like everybody else and we got to make some decisions. Is there one of these things that we can change that would be, less hurtful to you? I bet it wouldn't be this. But they might get buy-in by picking something that people could live with a little bit more. This way, people are now mad. They're not going to go at all. So that doesn't help them.
I love the concept of the chain. It was great when it was brought into Boston. I got a chance for the Globe to go do a walkthrough before they opened in the Seaport with Tim League, who's the guy with his wife who founded the chain. But they've been,
You should remind people, for people who don't know, what did they found? Why did it catch on? What was their programming?
Well, a lot of it is sort of movies for movie lovers. They do not just first run films, but all kinds of programming like we have here at the Brattle and the Coolidge. But a lot of other cities don't really have that kind of repertory film or curated film promotional opportunities to show older films or, specialty films based on timing in the calendar or that kind of thing, anniversaries, all that kind of stuff. And they've done that really, really well. And, Tim has an amazing collection of classic movie posters that he puts up at every single venue. There's a huge statue of the Iron Giant, which was based in Maine.
That's right.
In the lobby of the Seaport version of the Alamo. So it is definitely a place for movie lovers, and it just seems bizarre that they would take this, sort of.
Well, Sony owns it now ever since 2024, and they
that's
sold.
true.
Yeah.
But they've also gone through some growing pains. I mean, they had a franchisee who had 5 venues in Texas close because that person went bankrupt, and that's not a good look for the company, for the chain, for Tim and his family and the business. And then they've also had situations where certain people in management were accused of harassment, and he had to sort of bring in company training and promise to do better. So and they've definitely had growing pains, and this certainly seems like a pretty significant bump in the road.
So, I'm with Alamo on this one.
Really?
Because whenever I've been to the one at the Seaport, the service is really, really spotty and slow. And so you would sit down in your seat, as you can do in many movie theaters now that have elevated service, and you would write down your order and hope that it got to the person. And then at some point during the first, 25 minutes of the movie, your popcorn might arrive. Your guest popcorn wouldn't arrive. I went to see as Marjorie called it, Withering Heights. Marjorie Egan and I went to see Wuthering Heights, and we got our orders at separate times, so they were still walking throughout. So what they were trying to do with the phone ordering system, which they interestingly they devise a system so that the screen is largely black, so it's not shining into the theater, it's not that distracting, that it would go straight into the kitchen, your order, and then they could deliver it to you more efficiently. And the other problem was when it was time to pay your check, they would come at the last quarter of the movie, which, as you know, is the climax of the film. And all of a sudden, you have all these people walking around trying to take credit cards and do this and that. Now you just pay by your phone as well. So I actually think on this one, it makes sense.
Well, what about the people that say the service is spottier now? And slower, and of course we're talking about we're talking about all the people who are losing their jobs too.
But Alamo says no, there has not been job loss with this, and they've actually pointed out that they've been very successful in the last few years. So this is about refining their service. I haven't looked at their books, so I don't know if that's true. But they said no, people aren't losing their jobs, and I think if we talk to people who work there, they will argue that it is going to change the dynamic. But from what I've seen, it may be a better user experience.
It does make a lot of sense to pay by phone and not have the wait people coming around in the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Although in Wuthering Heights, it was the most entertaining part of the movie, I should say.
Well, that's annoying.
Well, next, I just lost my script. I thought having to race back from the library today to the studio would be the toughest thing that happened. Next, we're going to move to Walden Pond, where the newest Henry David Thoreau is not exactly thorough. Comedian Melissa Aquiles made her very lackluster qualifications the joke at the heart of a viral campaign to score a job playing the Concord philosopher. It resulted in her becoming an honorary Thoreau interpreter. James Sullivan, you just wrote all about this saga, which is a pretty entertaining one and brought a great focus to Concord.
Yeah, so just last fall, Richard Smith, who is the Thoreau interpreter, had been for 25 years, decided to retire. And so they brought in another guy who was a local guy who's another Thoreau impersonator / interpreter named Brent Rinaldi. And he's now sort of the official, unofficial Thoreau interpreter at the cabin on the days when they have a Thoreau interpreter at Walden. We came across Melissa's pretty adorable, she's a New York City comedian. I spoke with her last week for a story that's running this weekend, and we talked. She talked about how, as a freelance comic / theater performer / editor, video editor, all kinds of things, she's always looking for work. And her husband, who's her comedy partner, saw the pieces that were written in the Globe and the Times and elsewhere last fall about Richard retiring from being Thoreau, and he said, wouldn't it be funny if you said, I need a job, I should probably, throw in my candidacy to take this job over. And that the folks at Walden totally went for it.
Well, before we continue, let's listen to
sure.
her. Here's aspiring, and I'll explain that we know from the pronunciation in contemporary, the way people wrote his name in contemporary times, it was pronounced Thorough, not Thoreau. That's why we're saying this with the emphasis. But here's aspiring Thoreau impersonator Melissa Aquiles in one of her viral social media campaigns.
The economy is crashing. There are no jobs. But I did hear of one opening. I'm Melissa Aquiles, and this is my audition tape to be the next Henry David Thoreau at Walden Pond. Why do I want this so bad? 3 reasons. Free room and board, pretty much no responsibilities, and I'm available. Do I know literally anything about Henry David Thoreau? No, I haven't read the books yet, but on the pond I'll have plenty of time to do so. I know what you're thinking. Why am I doing this? Will it work? What's the difference between a lake and a pond? What is the meaning of life? And what kind of hat is that exactly? That one I know. It's a top hat made entirely of straw. I got it on Etsy, and it was a little too expensive, so now I have to make a lot of these videos.
So Concord and Walden is not taking itself too seriously these days.
They, I had a conversation with one of the rangers who is one of the historical interpreters there, and she was very careful about how she phrased this. Yeah, she just wanted to make sure that they weren't, disrespecting the solemnity of what they do at Walden. But they did embrace, and one of the things is that the Thoreau interpreters are kind of contract employees. They don't really work for Walden. They work for the Friends of Walden Pond, and they're they're sort of freelancers. And so they can kind of do what they want. And they had a lot of fun with Melissa's visit. And Richard, the guy who, recently retired, showed up in his civilian clothes, which was a black leather jacket. He's kind of a rock and roller at heart. And so, but the other guy, Brent, showed up in his Thoreau costume. So it was really, really just a lot of fun. And I think the staff realized that it was, nothing but a win to embrace the silliness of this viral video campaign.
So I think most of the criticism has been that she's not read, Civil Disobedience or Walden Pond, and there people are like, oh, I'm just insulted by the fact that she didn't take the time to read it. But she says, part of her whole thing is that her character doesn't know, and so she's going to learn as part of playing the role. And actually, this could turn out to be quite educational for a lot of people who've been pretending that we all know what Thoreau said, but really don't. And she can bring it to the fore and help everybody remember or be reminded or learn for the first time. So I think it's an inventive way to have that happen.
I agree with you. I mean, it's not like Henry David Thoreau was never up for a laugh. I'm just assuming that, but what human being isn't up for a laugh? So to appreciate this, and as you say, Kelly, any access whatsoever to get people to pay attention, and what a time to pay attention. This is the time to look at Henry David Thoreau.
Sure.
And finding the essential parts of life and why he retreated to nature and the quiet and how he studied and observed nature for studies that are still used today, especially for climate change. It's a great introduction, and we all need a little laugh, and she is pretty funny as she's doing all of this, so we'll see where this goes. You'll keep us surprised of where she goes with this.
In the first video, I'll just say this really quickly, Melissa mentioned the town of Concord. And we all know how Massachusetts folks love it when outsiders mispronounce our town names. So in the more recent video, she said Concord, and made it clear when I spoke with her that, she does know how to pronounce Concord. Yeah.
I did hear from the clip we played, she didn't know how to pronounce Thoreau. She kept saying Thoreau, so report back when she gets that one right, too. Well, coming up, do you remember? Questlove does. We look at his new documentary, which traces the sound, spectacle, and spirit of Earth, Wind, and Fire. Did you get what I just did there? I have no musical ear whatsoever. That's next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
From a European conflict zone,
driving north from Kyiv, the signs of war start to be more visible.
To hard times in Southeast Asia.
I meet a man who has been waiting in line for diesel for 6 days.
To the astonishing beauty of remote places.
My welcome to the waters off of East Greenland has come from 2 whales.
Let us take you there. Listen to the world.
This afternoon at 3 on GBH 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Harvard Museums of Science and Culture. 4 museums a short walk from Harvard Square, with exhibits ranging from stunning glass flowers to ancient Egyptian mummy cases. Learn more at hmsc.harvard.edu. And Rockport Music. The Rockport Chamber Music Festival, now running through mid-July, features violinist Augustin Hadelich, the Brentano Quartet, violinist Joshua Bell, and more. Details at rockportmusic.org.
And New England Recovery Center, providing inpatient addiction treatment in state-of-the-art facilities located in Westboro, Mass. Learn more at newenglandrecoverycenter.org or by calling 1-877-MY-REHAB.
National news floods your inbox. We focus on what impacts your town. Trusted local news. GBH 89.7, gbhnews.org, and streaming on the GBH app.
I'm Jared Bowen. This is The Culture Show, live on 89.7 and streaming at our GBH News YouTube channel. We're coming to you from our Brighton studios today, not the BPL for technical difficulties. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review. I'm joined by Culture Show co-host Callie Crossley and Culture Show contributor James Sullivan, a journalist and author. We're going over the latest headlines, including the legacy of David Hockney, one of the most influential artists of the last century. His death in London at age 88 was announced this morning. From the sun-struck swimming pools of Los Angeles to the landscapes of his native Yorkshire to the iPad paintings he innovated late in life, Hockney spent a career constantly changing the way we see color, space, and light. A painter, photographer, stage designer, and relentless experimenter, he made looking feel alive and made reinvention part of the work itself. I have to say, of the living artists, he was one of my favorites because for decades he gave us these very vivid, colorful portraits of life. I don't mean vivid in detail, but just you could feel the breath of life in his portraits, even in the prints that he made that were in black and white. When he did portraiture, it was bringing us into these people's lives. I had the fortune of meeting him once when he was here for his exhibition at the MFA years ago. And he was so striking because he talked about the relationships that he would develop with people and how he would get to know people through these portraitures. Not even just portraits, that is, not just sitting with them, but really getting to understand them as he was rendering them, most notably his mother. If you look at his biography, he had a very tender relationship with both of his parents. They were very supportive of him. We didn't even get into the fact yet that he was a gay man growing up in the last century, somebody who was 88 years old, born in, 1937. So there was a lot he faced and a lot he faced down because he was very forward in the way he lived his life and in his artwork. And then, again, these wonderful parents who supported him and which he rendered so beautifully on the canvas and imprints.
So what was always impressive to me is people say they can look at a piece and tell that it's his, is because when he moved to L.A. from England, it was a match made in heaven. And so there he was, capturing all the color of California. His paintings were saturated in color, and they really gave you the feel of California and his feeling for California. So that was, to me, always very impressive. And as you all know, some of his most important works were done in California. One of them just unearthed in 2024. It was up for auction at some crazy price, as you can imagine.
Yeah, his were going for tens of millions of dollars.
So that was interesting. But I didn't realize what a rebel he was. So this story that I was reading about when he was graduating or trying to graduate from London's Royal College of Art in 1959, to graduate, you had to do a drawing of a female person physique. And he refused to do it. So I'm just not going to do it. And they said, well, you're going to get out of here. You're going to have to do it. And so he submitted life drawing for a diploma, is what he called it, which depicted a muscular male figure from an American physique magazine, which I think is hilarious. Clearly he went on and did fine. But I just think the way that he protested their very strict rule was great.
I'll just chime in before we go
Sure,
to you,
please.
James. Another story. I remember when he had that exhibition at the Museum of Fine Arts. It was this big opening party. He was a lifelong smoker. Everybody knew this. He smoked and smoked and smoked. And they built a tent just off the gallery way so that he could smoke, because he would not come unless he could smoke at the MFA. They wouldn't let him smoke indoors, but they gave him his own smoking chamber, essentially, at the Museum of Fine Arts.
He was known for, obviously, the paintings, the vivid paintings, but he did, like Warhol, he did kind of everything. He dabbled in everything. He used technology, fax art, iPad art you mentioned, I think, Jared. He did prints and photography, all kinds of stuff. And that's sort of, I think, a big part of what made him a pop artist. I mean, he was pretty clearly influenced by Matisse in particular with the vibrant colors, but was also influenced by just art as life. And here's an amazing quote from the art historian Simon Schama. Hockney's art presupposes an expectation of pleasure. That kind of captures it, doesn't it?
Well, going back to the technology, that's when I remember being recalibrated in thinking about technology through David Hockney, actually, because they had some of those iPad paintings, I believe, in that MFA show. I've seen a few of his shows, retrospectives over the years. And what he could do in an iPad in those early days was extraordinary. And you could see the translation from the canvas to technology, and it was sumptuous.
I mean, and back then the iPad was pretty clunky. So, I mean, I think that says something about his mastery of the technique and his willingness to not be afraid to try out a technology to express himself in any way. The pleasure piece, though, James, I think is really interesting because people have made much of the fact that the England that he left was very dreary and, homosexuality was illegal. He comes to America, to California. It's like going in The Wizard of Oz from black and white to color, and he could, live his life as he wanted to. So that really opened him up in a lot of ways. I love this quote that he said, which was really interesting. I don't reflect too much, he said. I live now. It's always now. It's pretty powerful.
Well, he leaves a tremendous hole in the art world with his death today. Well, next, few bands made it bigger, brighter, more joyful sound than Earth, Wind, and Fire. Questlove's new HBO documentary looks at how Maurice White built that sound, funk, soul, and jazz, powered by horns, rhythm. But this documentary takes us further into his life, and he had to work at the pleasure.
Oh, my God. I learned so much about Maurice in this documentary. By the way, Questlove has a whole other side hustle doing fabulous documentaries.
Yeah, because he did Summer of Love, right?
Yes, and I'm sure this one will be awarded in some way, too. So I learned quite a bit, particularly about the influence of the band for other artists, which I don't think I had a good sense of. I knew the songs that I liked and, bopped around to, but to put them in the context of where Maurice White's head was at in terms of spirituality and trying to get to something deeper, but contrasted against all of his flaws, non-confrontational, did some kind of, band like unprofessional stuff, and a lot of struggle within that. But it was just comprehensive, the documentary. One note, I was telling Jared earlier, I discovered while looking at the piece, didn't know this, a good friend of mine is actually in the documentary. Oh, wow. Bruce Talman, a photographer, is quoted in the piece, and he's a co-executive producer on the film because he took photographs of rock and roll groups, and he had many of Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I loved it. What'd you think?
Oh, Maurice White, fascinating figure who, the first couple of Earth, Wind, and Fire albums were actually pretty much straight up jazz.
Yes.
And until they decided to go, it was the early 70s, and then they decided to move more towards the R&B, the soulful stuff that we recognize. And that music has lasted through the generations. I mean, my boys are in their 20s, and they kind of grew up on hip hop, almost exclusively, but they love that song in particular. I mean, they love Earth, Wind, and Fire. So,
and it's sampled by hip hop artists.
Sure, of course. I mean, naturally made, perfectly suited to sampling. But You mentioned Questlove. I mean, he is sort of becoming the archivist, the historian of classic soul music. I mean, besides Summer of Soul, he also, which is incredible. He also made Sly Lives, which is a great film about Sly Stone. So, you know, who's next? I'd love to know who he's going to do next.
Well, and I haven't seen it yet myself, but I understand because it's Questlove, he has a lot of access. So the talking heads in this piece, starting with Barack Obama
and Michelle.
And Michelle. As I said, I hadn't seen it, but I saw the former president's name mentioned. So you have major people weighing in on the impact in their lives.
And it was great. They were really into it, talking about their going into the White House and having the music come on when they went to one of their parties and have everybody just started dancing. And they said, you know, how could you not dance? I mean, the stuff makes you dance. So that was fun to see the two of them talk about that, talk about the music in the context of the times and also its impact on them personally. Yeah.
Well, finally, the World Cup is now underway with the first match in the region kicking off tomorrow between Haiti and Scotland in Foxborough. The tournament is not just a sports story, it's a civic stress test from traffic and transit to late night crowds, fan culture, and protest. Yeah, our region is about to change in a big way, actually for a long time. This is the first of then the tall ships, then the 250. Everything is about to happen, and the city's going to party around it because the governor has just allowed late night hours. Everything is about to change. World Cup mania has descended. Finally.
Over at the Lenox Hotel where we prep before we generally are at the library, the Scots are standing. They're there, the fans.
Oh, they are?
Yes,
I didn't see them.
Yes, the fans
in their
are
kilts.
I did pass a man in a kilt yesterday, which is super fun. Yeah, I started getting an inkling that things are changing.
And we've been told the Scots are really serious about the World Cup and their play, so that's really exciting. I'm very mad about Summer Street being blocked off, so I'm grumpy about that. But, I'm catching the excitement of people who have long suffered in this country for not having the World Cup appreciation that has been experienced around the world. So, this is a historic moment for us, actually, as a city.
I'd be really interested to see whether letting the bars stay open until 3 o'clock means anything. I mean, we're kind of accustomed in this city to retiring a little earlier than that. And,
are you kidding? I won't name the place. Last night, I was out last night. And I think they closed the kitchen at 8 o'clock. And then
I didn't mean that early.
The rest was closed by about 9:30. I mean, I'm not even a night owl. This was a rarity for me, and I thought, what happened while I've not been out? What? And we think we're going to do this, to your point, till 3 a.m.? Are you kidding me?
I will say, James, to your point, I was out with one of our colleagues, Deborah, one night, and it was past 10, and we were like, hey, we're out! Like we're doing something big.
Where are we going to go next? Oh, I'm going to get a McRib at McDonald's because that's the only thing that's open right now.
So that's kind of sad, I will say. But the rest of the world is coming to add the excitement. And, what happens when company comes, they drag you out to all the stuff you haven't really appreciated.
It is nice to see. So I mentioned Barcelona earlier. My son and I, among other things, went to see a Barca game in Barcelona, which was amazing to experience that. And it is nice to see this country. I mean, they've been talking since I was a kid about, soccer's coming to America.
Yeah.
And obviously we're a sports crazed nation. Why shouldn't we appreciate soccer more to the level that the rest of the world does? And so hopefully this will do that to some extent.
Well, I'm curious, when you had that fan experience in Barcelona, was it different from anything else you might have here at the Garden or at Gillette Stadium, now Boston Stadium for the moment?
Well, the match that we saw was actually not a particularly great contest. So it was kind of like a foregone conclusion that Barca was going to win. So it was a little bit of a more sedate crowd maybe than you might otherwise experience over there. But they do have rabid fans, and it was a lot of fun to experience it.
Well, I think we should also say that this year the USA team actually had some people on the team, including the captain, that people feel good about. I'm not saying they're going to win against these, powerhouses coming from around the world, but I'm saying that they are a real serious team to be considered. So.
Well, and this will be nice for us to realize that we can have nice things, because like everything in Boston, we decide that, no, this is going to be horrible. The traffic is going to be bad. And then, this is what we love to do. And then we drive everybody away because everybody thinks it's going to be miserable. I remember that. Remember when that Democratic National Convention this year? They said, "Oh, it's going to be so horrible. You won't be able to go anywhere." And then it came, and everybody just had left town.
That's true.
Except for everybody who was at the garden. So I hope it's a much more pleasant experience, and I think it will be. But yeah, I'm very curious about this 3 a.m. thing because I remember filling in with Jim and Marjorie on BPR once, and we were talking about the idea of an extended happy hour, and a lot of the restaurants called in and said, "No, we don't want this. We don't want to." It's bad enough dealing with overserved people, let alone at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I used to bartend. You don't really want to still be bartending at 3 a.m.
Yeah, but you don't. And then you got to get home. So there's a whole other thing if you're working. So,
yeah.
Well, anyway, we'll see. I think there's a great amount of excitement that's going to be infectious to even some of the grumps.
Well, we'll see. We're good at that. Well, it's now time for our weekend preview with a roundup of our recommendations for upcoming arts and culture happenings. Callie, what's yours?
Mine is the Juneteenth Joy Celebration in Hyde Park. It's the 16th annual. It's on this Saturday, even though Juneteenth is June 19th, so you got a few days before the official holiday. But they've been doing this for 6 years, and it got a whole big roster of events going on. Speeches, not speeches, but, sort of talks and historical things and music and food and the whole 9 yards. So there's something for everybody. It's family friendly. And it's, it's in the Francis D. Martini Memorial Shell Park and Moynihan Recreation Area. So and it's 9:30 to 2:30 p.m. So it's plenty of time for families to get themselves together and have fun and then get back home.
Sounds like a fun time. James, what's yours?
I'm going to highlight the fantastic theater company, very inventive theater company, Arlequin. They're opening their latest play called Delirium this week. It is an adaptation of Ionesco's Frenzy for Two, which is an example of Ionesco's very much theater of the absurd. It's pretty absurd, and there's been a little wave of interest in the theater world in Boston lately. With the ART is doing Ionesco's big play Rhinoceros coming up later this summer. So Arlequin's Delirium opening this week.
Well, I echo that. If you've not seen Arlequin, they are so inventive with this theater. It changes your whole conception of what can be done on stage. Well, mine is sort of re-emphasizing what we experienced here on the Culture Show the other day when we had Veronica Robles on the show with some of her very young dancers, because she is presenting Viva Latino America at Symphony Hall on Sunday at 2 p.m. She's going to be bringing with her more than 110 performers. This is a whole epic cultural event, and she has so much energy as a woman who learned mariachi from her grandmother in Mexico City when she was growing up, that she knows how to fill a room. I first encountered her at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum when she was performing in the courtyard. That was striking. When she and her group take the stage at Symphony Hall, I mean, you will just bound out of there. Everybody will be happier. I guarantee it. She just lifted all of our spirits in the studio at the library the other day when she was here. So again, Viva Latino America is Sunday at 2 at Symphony Hall, which is very, very exciting. Well, that is all for this edition of The Culture Show. Thanks to Culture Show co-host Callie Crossley and Culture Show contributor James Sullivan, a journalist and author specializing in popular culture and Americana. He's also on the faculty of Emerson College. We just want to give a shout out to all of our Community Canvas members who had gathered at the BPL studio today. They are people who have been featured on our digital mural. That's our program where you can submit your art to be represented on our digital mural right alongside the Mass Pike. So lots of people get to see your art every day. We look forward to meeting you at a future date. We're sorry that we gathered and then had to race back here to Brighton. Tune in Monday for Antonia Bennett, daughter of Tony Bennett, ahead of her show at Regatta Bar, plus Eddie S. Glaude Jr. on his new book, America USA, How Race Shadows the Nation's Anniversaries. Callie, what's coming up on Under the Radar this week?
We're doing a whole hour in observance of Pride Month, our LGBTQ roundtable at the start of the show. And the back end of the show is an exclusive about a new queer construction. I can't even get it out. It's a new queer collective of tradespeople. And as far as we know, it's the only one in the country.
Oh, sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I should also mention Arlequin Players Theater. Igor Goliak will be with us on Monday as well, jumping off of what you just talked about, James. Thanks today to Henry Santoro for curating our Culture Cast. Our engineer is Dave Goodman. Our interns are Katie McCabe and Adina Velasquez. Thanks today to Juan Jose Cadena, Patrick Lally, Eddie Hickey, Cy Patel, and Lee Hill. I'm Jared Bowen. As David Hockney would say, based on the title of one of his paintings, make a bigger splash and have an art-filled weekend. Bye-bye.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.